Good evening, everyone. Sorry, give me a second. I was just cleaning my computer screen and my phone. But that's what I use that for, just to clean stuff. To clean my phone, particularly because yourself with the phone is always paw prints and stuff when you're touching the screen, etc., etc. It's a whole nuisance to touch the screen phones and computers, etc. So not so much the computer, but when I'm moving the lens, etc., etc. Like I have to do now and stuff like that. And then sometimes I have to pipe the stuff on the computer, so that like I'm talking to somebody. Hello, good evening. Sorry for the ramblings and I don't know what we call torture. But anyway, hope we're all well. I know we're a bit early. Said 7 o'clock. But sure, look at. I knew it'd be sometime between. I knew it would be early. At some stage early. But sure, look, we're here now. A good bit to top, and not old as much, but a good bit nonetheless. So give me a moment. We had to give it a moment. The usual carry on with this YouTube. We should probably try BitChute at some stage, live streaming, just to see how it'll go. Probably wouldn't go well, but we could try it just to see. I could say a bit more about stuff, at least, possibly. I hope that's not too loud, too. Give me a moment. See, the worst thing, always the worst beginning. The stream is always the worst part of the stream is always starting it off because notifications, etc. That the usual carry on. Blah, blah, blah. So some good news, Henry, but as I said in the video earlier on, just to say to people, it might be the video for the moment, the hate speech bill, which that'd be the main thing we really be getting into. But Sinn Féin, if they get back in, they will just bring it in again and try to bring it in again. They can try. It's not going to happen, but they can try. That's the thing. And that's the concern, that they can try and bring it in. And that's the main thing. It's only nearly 7 o'clock and it's already dark. Like a few weeks ago, we had the window blinds up and the sun was blinding us. And I couldn't see my screen half the time because of it. I can actually just look up something here now, and I can chat and do things at the same time. Multitask, isn't that great? I can do 2 things at once. I just want to check and see in my live too. I should just get my other computer screen up, like so I can look that side instead of having to use my phone or my tablet. It'd be a lot more simpler. That's what I was looking for. See. Give me a moment, sorry. Good day, everyone. Good Gordon. Sorry, I'm stuttering. Hello, how are we doing? That's a nice way to greet people, but hello. How are we today? It's a nice way to greet people. Is that an ancient custom where you are? Where am I here? On this day. Give me a moment, everyone, just for a second, just get another stuff sorted out here. Like, I have a lot of articles set up and all that to look through and stuff, but just a lot of this, that much stuff happening in the country. That it's hard to remember everything. Getting back. So, not bad. How are you, Gordon? Not bad at all. Um, yeah, nothing too much happening. Um, very quiet, I suppose. Well, that's the best way to have it. Also, it's 94 days into Christmas. Then there'll be loads of shenanigans with everybody. Uh, give or take, I think it's 94 or something like that. So there'll be a lot of carry on coming on the next few months. Also, you were asking me about Halloween. I think it was you who were asking about Halloween a few months ago. Uh, Tourism Ireland, the YouTube channel Tourism Ireland, run by the government, put up a video. We posted on the community post. Um, have a look at that, I suppose, too. 'Cause I think you asked me about Halloween that originated on. It might have been somebody else actually, but I think it was you. I can't remember. It was on a live stream anyway. But yeah, Tourism Ireland has it. So it's great informative. There's a few videos out, not just the one there. There's 2 or 3 others. If you want to check them out, I don't know. It might not have been you, but I don't. Maybe you don't remember, but I think it was a few months ago. It wasn't like yesterday, the day before. See, it's hard to remember everything. I remember somebody asking about it not too long ago too, within the last 2 months or so. Yeah, that was it. That was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was what about. Yeah, I don't know what that was. It was must have been a few weeks ago because I remember it was not that long ago. But yeah, no. If you wanted to know more about the history of Halloween, how it originated in Ireland, they have videos up on it. It's a better explanation probably than you got at that time. I just seen it there the other night, and I was like, yeah, I was thinking about back at that, and I was like, I was thinking it was you that was asking something about Halloween, but I couldn't exactly remember. See, there's that many people ask me because I get DMs on Twitter and stuff like that, and it's hard to remember everything, because people do DM me on Twitter and stuff like that, and they ask me different things, and it's hard to remember exactly what everybody said. This person said this and that, but it's hard to remember everything. But yeah, just a suggestion. It's up in the community post anyway. So and it's on Tourism Ireland's YouTube channel. Because again, you will find the Halloween too. Wish. Speaking of the devil and the devil that should appear. Sorry, give me a moment. See, this is the when I live stream. Everybody messages me. A message. And I wouldn't mind if I was sitting here for a week, nobody would message me. Turn this down another bit. Because sometimes it's just distracting. To be honest, a lot of the times when I'm talking, it's all right if I was sitting here doing nothing or colouring. But when I'm talking about things and stuff like that, it distracts me a bit, I suppose. So yeah, I suppose we get started. I did say 7 o'clock, so it's my own fault too for starting early. Because I should just go with the exact time, 7 o'clock. Just don't go early and stuff like that. Did I cut my hair? Yeah, the True Fins leader cut my hair. Yeah, I got my hair cut. Yeah, I needed the cut. It was blinding me at some stages because I couldn't see. So I did get a cut. Yeah, it's not that bad, but I didn't get much off it too because I wanted it because the winter time's coming, and better not to just go on like a skinhead, I suppose. Right here, we get started. Oh, everything's working. So we talked about this for a long, long time. It's been off and on. You probably remember a few weeks ago, Simon House, the Taoiseach, said they were going to pass the hate speech bill before the Dála Jones at Christmas or in January because out of the general election, because there's still no negative, it's still not 100% confirmed that they're going to have it in February. They've said they could have it in February, but then they could go early in November because with the budget in October coming up. So it's either one, but long story short, the Dála's only a few more months, 5, at least maybe if they go in November, 2 months. But if they go in February, another few months, obviously, but not long, basically, because they're only back from the summer recess this week. So, long story short, the hate speech bill. So, basically, if you disagreed nearly with the government, they would lock you up for 5 years. And if you misgendered somebody, they would lock you up for 5 years. Um, and if you said something online that upset the government, like just even saying, as I said in the video earlier on, just saying that we're taking far too many people in is nearly hate speech in their eyes, and that you should be locked up and thrown in the prison, even though you're just saying we're tucking in far too many people, which is the truth. It's not really hate speech. You're just kind of saying the truth, because literally people are sleeping in tents on the side of the street. I don't know how that is, hate speech when you're literally just saying the truth, because there's literally people sleeping on the street because they haven't got a place to put them. So I don't get it, but and not even that, they could come into your house without a warrant and seize your laptop, seize your phone if you posted a meme online that they didn't agree with. Take for example, the Gaudi could just bang on your door at 6 o'clock in the morning and take all your devices without a warrant, without any reason. They just come in and arrest you for hate speech, and take you and look through your phones and your tablets and everything. And if you didn't give them your password or things like that, they could add more years on your sentence, etc. There's obviously a huge breach, obviously, of the Constitution, of privacy, etc., because you can't, without a warrant, to go into somebody's house, especially in this country. You need a warrant before the guards can barge in your house. So this was obviously unconstitutional. So that's why the hate speech bill, for years, they've been talking about it, for the last probably nearly 4 years at this point. But particularly in the last year, they've been desperate to pass it. So they've been very upset, as Helen McAfee said, because literally everybody was against them. Because they were hoping to pass it again by the Donald Jones, but they couldn't do it. It's not feasible for them to do it. And the amount of opposition, and even if they did pass it, as I said to you before, Fine Gael will cease to exist. And people would riot in the street, to be totally honest. And that's just to put it nicely to them. People would be up in arms, and there would be open rebellion. If they thought about open rebellion before on the streets with immigration, there would be open rebellion if this passed, basically. And I could guarantee that, because people were that whiz up about it. And as they should be, because it's a totalitarian, and it's limiting people's rights and free speech, etc., etc. So there wouldn't really have to be, riots in the street, to be done, because it's actually, nearly a totalitarian regime if they did bring this in, because it's just a slippery slope from there, and that's what would happen, because nobody really wants it. Simple as that, because it's limiting the Constitution. As the Constitution of Ireland says, you're entitled to your free speech. You're entitled to your say. There's nothing really the state can do. Simple as that. And it's a huge infringement of the Constitution, because it's unconstitutional. It's not. Nobody can take away that right, basically. Whatever about incitement, if you're saying to somebody we should beat somebody up or blow something up, that's incitement to hatred. Of course, you're threatening to blow something up, or you're threatening to kill somebody or whatever. That's obviously threats and violence, etc., etc. But literally just saying there's too many people coming into the country or something like that, or saying we shouldn't be taking in all these people and giving them free houses, etc., etc., could be deemed hate speech, and they could be locked up for it, which is insane. And then people going around raping each other and killing each other, and they're getting off with murder, basically. Hello, Sean. I nearly called it. I don't know what I was going to say there. Sorry, my brain is not working that out today. But long story short, for the moment, it's dead. It's just dead. It's gone. It's over. For the moment. But again, when Sinn Féin get in, because it's definitely going to be Sinn Féin maybe in the next government, along with Fine Gael. Let's put it that way. It probably will be Sinn Féin and Fine Gael. That'll be the government. And Sinn Féin hasn't come out and said that they're going to, that they support this, and they say, we're going to leave. We're not going to talk about it again. I know that the government parties, apart from maybe Aontú, don't support the hate speech bill. So all the other parties, Labour's crying at the moment. They're upset that they're not going to pass it. But long story short, this the next government probably will pass it, regardless of it. At the moment, they can't do it. They're simply unfeasible, and they know themselves they would be gone in the next election. But as I said, there would be open rebellions in the street. And I had to emphasise that enough to the government. And I'm sure they know it themselves, that people are not going to take this lying down, because it's literally what Iran or something like that would do, basically. And people won't sit down and say nothing about it. Because especially because you see the media, etc., they're all for it, etc., etc. You see here the Irish Examiner, etc., all jumping up and down saying we should have passed it. Never asked about what's the effects on free speech. Never asked that. Never questioned it. Just one with the narrative. Basically, it's where it gets to people too, let alone the media, etc., etc. But for the moment, for the next, at least for the next year, the hate speech bill is just gone. Next year it's just gone. They can't do it. Even if the government came in February or in November, new government, it'll take time to draft it and get it up and back up and running, etc., etc. So it literally would take a year and a bit before they could do it. And not to mention, obviously, it'd still be the same outcome. People would fucking uproar, and solely rightly. I've always said that I never supported it. Now they are talking about Helen McAfee is talking about uh, like in the terms of incitement to hatred, that they hate like violent like hate crimes that basically, you know, the way somebody could target a business because the person's from another country, stuff like that. That's what they're talking about doing, which I don't really mind that bit. You know, if you're directly targeting somebody's business that's from another country, like say an Italian restaurant, take for example, and the person's from Italy, some part of Italy, take for example, you went and actively tried to burn that down or something like that as a hate, you know, as a hate motivated event, that's okay. But trying to police somebody's speech is another thing, and it's not acceptable, shouldn't be tolerated. But take for the moment, for the next year anyway, it's gone. It's just not going to happen. Also, this, you know, the usual carry on. You know, but we see what happens there. But definitely for the moment, it's Joe. Yeah, because the Green Party is going to be abolished. You know, they're going to be sent back to the Stone Age. I don't know about Fianna Fáil. Fianna Fáil is not doing well. Did you see at the moment the polls are saying the Fianna Gael is doing very good? Fianna Fáil seems like it's going to just collapse in on itself. Fianna Gael seems like they have loads of support. You see the support at the moment up. I don't know how to up, but it most likely be, I think it'll be Fianna Gael and Sinn Féin, maybe the Labour Party, or or the People Before Profit. Because I do think Fianna Fáil is hemorrhaging support at the moment. Not to mention there's so many, even Fianna Gael and Fianna Fáil, there's a lot of TDs leaving, etc., etc. But Sinn Féin is not doing that cushy either. A lot of people copped on the Sinn Féin and not giving them the votes. But it's still going to be either one of the two. Yeah, there's nothing to do with that. Of course, we all know that there's no such thing as that. There's no such thing if you're anti-Irish, you know, as they did with the SPHE. But there's no such thing as we're going to lock that person up for being anti-Irish. There's no such thing as that. You know, we all understand that, Sean. With only Irish people, who cares about Irish people? You know, that's the government taking their head. You know, Helen McAfee, the Irish people, they hate Irish people. You know, we don't care. Because let's be fair, the Irish establishment, the people who are writing up these amendments, and the judges, etc., hate this country anyways. You know, you have to prosecute the politicians. You have to prosecute the judges. You have to prosecute the people who are making the laws. Like, you know yourself, John. They hate this country. They hate Irish people. You know that. Joe, we all know that. Everybody can agree on that. There's no such thing as a hate speech bill to protect Irish people. There's no such thing as that, of course. You know, you've seen the SPHE book. That's hate speech. Definitely gets Irish people. There's no such thing as arresting the people who wrote that book, because it's openly that they literally hate the soul of this country. And they think we're just backwatered freaks, basically, the people who wrote that book. And there's no such thing as arrest that person, lock him up, put him in prison, seize his tablets, do that. No such thing as that. You know, because that's all the narrative, basically. Hello, Greenface. Hello, Fiona. You get what I'm saying? I'm sure we understand, but that's the thing. Lock him up. Where am I now? Sorry. So I want to just briefly talk about this. It's not going too well in London. But long story short, this shouldn't be. I know London's a big city with 10 million people or something like that living in. London's a huge, more than the whole population of Ireland just in London. You know, the whole island of Ireland lives in London. Nearly 6 million in the whole Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So you know that's 10 million or so, nearly 11 million in London. So you know these things won't happen. But long story short, the numbers are extraordinary. I think one day last week there was 50 rapes in 1 hour, in one part in London itself, just in 1 hour. That's not even a whole day. 1 hour, it was 50 rapes reported, which is insane too. In one hour, that's what happened in one part of London. Like not even just one; it's multiple. Like in the dozens. As I said, but 50. Some of them are 20, you know, it's insane. And then if you add that for the whole day, you could have nearly 200, 300, which is insane too. If you add it up for a whole year, you could have nearly 100,000, to be totally honest, the way it's going. But long story short, this will be Dublin very soon. Unfortunately, it is Dublin very soon because this is what's happening. But I just want to briefly talk about that because it shouldn't be happening in the Western world. It shouldn't be. This carry on shouldn't be happening. That's I always said. These offenders, etc., they're not from the country, and they're here as refugees or whatever. They should be sent home. Um, and not even that. If it's their own crowd, if it's an Irish person or an English person doing, they should be sent to prison and you know hit very hard with the law. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. It's the fact of the matter they just get off it. Basically, these people. Um, um, but where am I here? So yeah, I just seen this in Grip Media earlier on, and this is just again, this is every day of the week, basically. Unfortunate, but again, he's an Irish child. They don't care. If this was the child from Ukraine, etc., they would be literally bending over backwards to help him. But you do feel for this poor woman and her child. Literally 2029. Literally, he has to wait, 4 years, 5 years to get services, and it's insane. And again, this is the same with all autistic children that being left behind. Irish children being left behind. It's very upsetting. It is very upsetting, and particularly somebody that's autistic a bit. I understand. I understand the pain, and I've known autistic children, etc., all my life. I was in special needs classes with them, etc. I understand they need care and they need service, they need attention, and unfortunately, this will affect the child for the rest of his life. It's not just for the moment; it's going to affect his development in later life, etc. So it's proven studies that has it because there's no service to help him develop, to help him get his full potential, you know. And he's just been left abandoned, and that's a simple sad. But at the same time, this is the same time. There's people coming into the country. They're getting everything handed to them. All the children from Timbuktu and stuff have been given English classes, etc. And all that resource has been taken away from autistic children, Irish autistic children, etc. That's what's happened. There's English classes from everybody else in Timbuktu that can't speak a word of English, but there's no such thing as the autistic services for Irish children. Every other person from Timbuktu can get it, but the Irish people have to wait, 4 years, 5 years, because we're only second class citizens, of course. Which is the truth. We have to say it straight because there's not just one incident. There's 6 or 7 incidents I could name off the top of my head of this happening. But long story short, like being a form, like particularly during the lockdown and stuff, we often heard, "Oh, we care about people's health, etc. We care about people. We care about the future generation. We care about people." But the party for young people, Simon Howes famously said, "If this is the party for young people, I hate to see what he thinks this is the party for young people." Because again, this is feeling for this is them what they've done. The party for young people, my back fucking side, and I'm very whiz over this because it's not acceptable. It shouldn't be happening because we're basically just denying him this. It's basic right that he gets some kind of service, some kind of care. But no, we're just like no, we don't care. And particularly, and I do think it's not even just the politicians, the media, etc. In fairness to Grip Media, they're the only one that's talking about it. The other media seem to just fall asleep and not willing to talk about it. None of them are willing to talk about it because really, how could they say OT won't cover, but how could they say that the mother was told to wait until 2029, and that's what she was told to wait until then before we look at you and we care for you then, That's what it was told. Wait until 2029. The Irish Examiner, you think they'd be up in arms saying this is a disgrace. Not a word from the mainstream media. Just accept it. Shut up and be quiet, basically. But then again, if I've seen literally people from India, the couple from India, and the Irish media are going mad at the moment because they can't buy a house because they're from India, and if that was an Irish person, they wouldn't be worried about it. And it's just the truth. It's not racist, it's not far right. It's just the truth because I don't see a word being said about these people that's been left behind. Yeah, that's shocking. That's what she was told. Wait until 2029. That's not acceptable. Listen, right. Yeah, well, as I said to you, if you watch my video earlier on, it's going to be delayed for a year anyway. So at least for the moment, they're not, going to look at it. But in the next government, they definitely will. It's only kind of a delay, basically. That's what I think. But they know themselves. I think they know they're kind of afraid to bring it forward because they know that, as I said earlier on, to be open hostilities in the street, and the open will be open rebellion. As simple as that. And that's literally what it's going to be. But uh, long story short, hopefully something be done. But long story short, the Irish media, and I think even you and I, as only citizens of the country that pay our taxes, I pay my taxes. I want that money that goes in my taxes at the end of the week to go to this young lad's benefit, to his benefit. It should be going to his benefit. There shouldn't be any argument at all about this young lad being getting any kind of service he can get. And I wouldn't mind that my taxes go. I pay them every week. I don't know where they go to. They go to Timbuktu. But long story short, I'd rather them go to this young lad than a person that just turned up off the boat expecting everything handed to them. And simple as that. And I might just say it straight. That's why I want my taxes to go to, helping this young lad. But it's the fact of the matter. Every Irish citizen should be up in arms, saying this is not acceptable. Shouldn't be tolerated. Simple as that. Especially when you read this, that they're able to spend this money on a bike shed. So they can't use the excuse to have no money because they can spend fucking this on a bike shed. But hopefully, please God, something happen. Hopefully, maybe from this article from Grit Media, they might cop on a bit, whoever in the HSE. Because again, as I say, if this was somebody from Ukraine or from Timbuktu or Georgia, etc., the Irish media literally would have a fucking fit. They'd be up in arms, the Irish media. But if it was an Irish child, they're just saying, no, who cares? That's pretty much it. And it's a sad state of affairs in this country is that we care more about the person that turned up out of the boat for 2 minutes. We care more about them getting treatment than we do about the Irish children. Simple as that. And it has to be said, and it's not acceptable. And it's the fact that we're sitting down, we're too afraid to stand up and say these things. That's what it is people are too afraid. Even somebody like young people like me, you're afraid to speak up because it might affect your job, it might affect this. At the end of the day, what's right is to call it out and to speak up. And again, as I always said, many people wouldn't talk, but they'd be more worried about the immigration issue, etc. Talk about the numbers, etc. As a YouTuber too, and as somebody that suffers from autism, I feel obliged to say what I take and particularly speak out as much as I can about it. And I do intend to. I'll keep an eye on this. If I hear anything about it, I will update you on it. I will keep an eye on this. But still, nonetheless, hopefully something will be done. Hopefully some kind of help, even if it's just once a week, it'd be better than literally waiting the 2029. Even if it was just that, it'd be some kind of solace, I'm sure, to the mother and to the child, of course. Sorry about that. So yeah, just talking about the bike shelter, going back to this fucking mess of a thing that cost 300,000 euro. This cost 300,000 euro. Long story short, it was delayed, of course, because everything in this country is just delayed. The children's hospital's been delayed. Everything's been delayed. So long story short, what it basically, OT basically doesn't say it in the article. But long story short, we can all assess by reading through the lines that what they mean by delay is, this price here, just to say, this 350,000 euro is more like 500 and something thousand euro. And that's basically what they're saying, because it was delayed by a few months, the construction of this abomination. So it's going to be maybe 600,000 euro. And that's what it is. We're not being told it, because again, they've been very quiet. The media have been very quiet about this. You take OT, you'd be literally talking about it every day of the week, because somebody should be getting the sack. If it's Eamon Ryan that came along and said, let's do this, somebody should be getting the boot and told to go home and never to come back. But it's the fact of the matter, nobody's been fired, nobody's been given out to about this. Because, if they say there's no money to help that young lad, that money could go to help them young lads that need that treatment. But, we're too busy spending on the fucking bike shelter with one bike in it. You have to either cry or laugh. But long story short, this is criminal. To be totally honest, there should be criminal charges against whoever signed off on this. To be totally honest, they should be put up for negligence. And that's why I'm saying it straight. OT should be saying somebody should be hold criminal liability for this. Or either the TDs take it out of their own salary and pay for it. But not a word from OT, because OT was paid up by the Irish media, the Irish government. Nepal, what happened in Nepal? Yeah, of course. We all know. We all can guarantee that it was from the all cushy numbers, etc. We all know that. They had deals, etc. It's the same with the children's hospital. So they're probably all Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael things. Now, I just want to talk about that. We want to be joining the Commonwealth news talk. Ireland's going to be the most expensive country in the European Union, in Europe, actually. Not even in Europe. Imagine that. Literally, a small country in the Atlantic is more expensive than England, than Germany, than France, than any other country, even Finland, even Norway, etc., etc. All the countries in the European Union, Ireland's going to be the most expensive. And you might be asking why, because of the Green Party. They want to fuck people's up in fears. Obviously, Eamon Ryan, as he said before on the he wants people to have 2 cars for a community, and they can all car share, etc., etc. His lunatic mind. He wants people to ride the bikes everywhere, etc., etc. So basically, they're going to make people get rid of the cars one way or another. So basically, they're going to tax them into oblivion, and obviously put the price of petrol 5 times higher. Because literally, one of the most expensive countries, just say in the world too. And this is all by design. It's not like it's just gone up. It's all by design because they put the carbon tax up. It's up in fears. So basically, long story short, you will not be happy, basically. But this is what's happening. And the government don't care. Simple as that. And it's going to be more expensive for only Joes to fill up the tank, etc., etc. And people are already facing hardships. And they don't give a shit, the Green Party, along with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. But this is what's happening in Ireland, and it shouldn't be. Ireland, it shouldn't be the most expensive country for diesel and for petrol in Europe. It shouldn't be. But that's because of these fuckers that's in government. Excuse my language, but I'm not that kind of pleased with them. Let's put it that way. Do I have to go on with the National Children's Hospital? We'll probably talk about that because it's going to be delayed even more. The most expensive children's hospital in the world, may I add. Literally, there's hospitals in America that care for more patients and stuff like that literally paid less to build it than here. Like it's notable thing in Ireland. I think Sean and Fiona and all them are going to see Keith Woods live. I think. Give me a second. I just want to see because I think I've seen that notification pop on my screen now. He was live. Yeah, he's live. Okay. Let me see. Where am I here? We'll continue. I know. So just speaking about autism and etc., and being fucked over by the government. So this is to do with the Holy Family School, I think, in Cotil. I think it is. It's the Holy Family School, along with other schools in Monaghan too, in that area. So this basically has to do with school transport too. So there's a special bus for these children that have autism, that have other needs too, to bring them to school, etc. So pick them up for their house and bring them home directly, etc., etc. And obviously there's a carer, etc., on the bus to care for them, and there's different things for them to relax, etc., etc. So basically, it's good investment. But long story short. The government chose to fuck them over, particularly Norma Foley chose to fuck them over. So basically, they took this bus off the road, as they would do, because they don't give a shit about any Irish children, of course. They probably put it for some people that just turned up. But long story short, the education minister said she doesn't care. Basically, it still hasn't happened. Like, these children are back to school at the end of August, and we're already in the 24th of September, and not likely something's going to be done until around Christmas or so 3 months. And they had all summer, just to say. They had all summer. Literally June, they knew about this carry on. Norma Foley, and did nothing, sat on her hands and decided to do nothing. And it's under review. This is unacceptable. And again, as I say, it's not just a small incident. There's loads of children affected by this. You see the poor parents here having to go out and protest, etc., etc. And this is the thing. Why am I invisible? Why are they invisible? Why are these children being left behind? Because it's been purposely left behind, to be totally honest. It's just, and as they say, starting from ground zero. There's not any. It's insane. It's insane. It's the definition of insanity. Because I tell you for a fact, there wouldn't be such thing if that was a Ukrainian child. I tell you for a fact. And it's the fact of the matter, one part of society is being cared for the most. They're moving heaven and earth to help them out. But the only Joe that's from Ireland, grew up in Ireland, etc., is being left behind. And it's just a straight up fact. And it's the fact that this bollocks is still here too, Norma Foley. This is the problem, because she's been sitting on her hands all summer doing nothing. Again, this should have been sorted a long time ago. The fact that we're still here and we're still talking about it, it's insane. Yeah, obviously it's going to be more than that. It'll be more 6 billion. Oh no, that's okay. No, I thought just went to Keith Woods. I didn't know he was live. I just seen the notification pop on my screen now. I didn't know he was live. See, I always pick the worst time to go live, anyway. But not even that. It's the fact of the matter too. It's good for them too, because the bus is specially designed for the children that relax, etc. And there's obviously care and stuff like that. And especially too, they can be dropped off at the doorstep, like not like a school bus, etc. So it's a good service. But it's the fact of the matter they don't care. And again, it's 1 out of many instances. So yeah, you've probably seen the community post about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. At the Monaghan County Museum. So I was here, and I was on Nationwide yesterday evening too. So this is in Monaghan, just beside the bus station in Monaghan, the Peace Centre. So the museum's up here. So if ever in Monaghan, do check it out. It's really interesting, the history of Monaghan. Particularly the reason why I went, because of the OAF fighter that crashed in Monaghan in the Second World War, crashed near Monaghan town in the Second World War, the engine bit, etc., etc. It was interesting learning about that. So that's why I went to it. But yeah, it's a very interesting museum, especially every county museum is interesting. But long story short, it's a really nice modern building, etc., etc. But it's a good museum. So if you're ever in Monaghan town, just to mention it, that it's a good museum to check out, and especially there's some very old books, etc., etc., from hundreds of years ago. So I want to ways to stay in the Monaghan. Now, in fairness to Matt Cowley, in fairness to me, he is raising this, and in fairness, give Sinn Féin credit here for this, because I see no Fianna Fáil. Where is Fianna Fáil and Fianna Gael? They've all gone home. Like, there's not one of them in Monaghan or Cavan. I don't see them anywhere. They're nowhere to be found. These TDs and councils. There's nowhere to be found. These Fianna Fáil and councils. That in fairness to Matt, I give him credit the way credit's due. He did raise it and he did talk about it. He's the only one that's talking about it, in fairness. I've talked about it a few times that literally people in Cavan and Monaghan are waiting hours for an ambulance. So they waited. This poor young fella in Monaghan at a football match in Monaghan waited 2 hours and 20 minutes on the pitch for an ambulance to come. It's insane. It's insane. And just to say, look, it was a serious enough injury that he had, something to his back. Like it was a very sore thing, don't get me wrong. But take, for example, if he took a heart attack or a stroke or something like that, he would be just gone. There'd be no hope. He wouldn't survive an hour and 20 minutes on the pitch if he took a stroke or and this is what's happening up and down the country. Let's say about Castleblaney, it took 3 hours for an ambulance. And the fact of the matter is, I still can't understand it in my head either, that a few years ago, you probably remember, people from Ireland would remember, about 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, there was an accident emergency in Monaghan. Monaghan has its own hospital, etc., etc. But they closed the A&E in Monaghan for whatever reason, whatever fucking logic they took in their head. But long story short, they closed that down. There's no A&E in Monaghan. There's no accident emergency. So if you have an injury, say at the football match or back injury, you have to be taken to Monaghan. And the ambulances are coming from Cavan to go to Monaghan. So basically, they have to go all the way up to Monaghan town to collect the person, to bring them down to Cavan General Hospital, because there's no accident emergency in Monaghan. Just think about that for a second. And that's what's causing the issue too in Monaghan, because they have to go literally from Cavan. Oftentimes you would hear me live stream hearing ambulances and stuff going by, because they're on the way up to Clonus in County Monaghan, up that way, going up to Monaghan that way, from Clonus on to Monaghan town, etc., up that way. Because this brings you on to Clonus, the Buttersbridge Road. But long story short, this is unacceptable. Particularly because it was a back injury too, so it's going to affect him for the rest of his life. But still, thankfully, he's alive. That's the main thing. There's other people that literally are not fortunate enough to be alive. But the fact of the matter is, Fianna Fáil, Fianna Gael, TDs and Cavan, and even the Monaghan too, they're all silent. They're nowhere to be found. Nobody can find them for a comment on this. How they explaining this that this is happening? Because the best solution in Monaghan would be to have an A&E in Monaghan town. Because take for example, if some only Joe, like there's been instances people have been waiting for ambulances, and I know I'm on for a few minutes, but there's been instances in Monaghan, in Cavan too, that people have waited an hour or so for an ambulance and literally had to put the person into their car and bring them to the hospital themselves. Obviously, in Monaghan, you can't do that if you're in Monaghan town or Clonus, because the hospital is literally nearly a half an hour away in Monaghan. So you have to go from Monaghan, say if you took bad in Castleblaney. Well, Castleblaney be near Mead anyway, could go near Mead. But long story short, if you have a bad incident in Clonus or in Monaghan town, you have to go to Cavan General, and it's it's a few miles away anyway. But it's not acceptable, and especially in the first world country, that this is happening. And again, the fact of the matter is, if you listen up and down the country, this is happening all up and down the breadth of the country. There's so many, probably maybe in the 100 or 200 a year, people dying because they're waiting too long for an ambulance. And, that's what's happening. And the long story short, the other thing they could do is if they give the paramedics decent pay, if they give them some kind of living, and good conditions, etc., etc. But they won't do it. They don't give a shit. Simple as that. Hello, Emily. Sorry, I'm too busy. See, I'm feeling very, very annoyed about it. Particularly in Monaghan, as I say, if they opened the accident emergency, there would be ambulances in Monaghan. The fact there's no ambulances in Monaghan, like there's none at the hospital. They're all out in Cavan General because accident emergencies down here. Usually, if you call for an ambulance, you're brought to accident emergency in Cavan, not in Monaghan, take for example. Because there's no accident emergency. You go to the hospital, it's only for like scans and stuff like that, not accident emergency. So basically, as I say, you have to come to Cavan for accident emergency. Yeah, like they love their photos. That's like they're all just literally fucking everywhere with photos. I've never seen such crowded photos. I've seen them myself the other day. Like they're having photos in the council office there in the town, in the court, in the council chamber. Let's put that way. I've seen all the photographers going in with their cameras, etc., etc. Like a big charade. It took about 9 of them to go in to take photos, etc. Like it's insane amount of stuff. It's a lot of carry on, basically. I wouldn't have it as a council. I'd be too fucking annoyed listening to it. Like one photo is good enough, but they don't have to stand there for an hour taking photos. It's insane. But again, it's all because there's election. Yeah, they're just hoping for people. Like literally at this stage, they're hoping for people literally just to drop dead. And the fact of the matter, so many of these people could be saved if the ambulance was there. Because again, at most, obviously an ambulance can't fly. It should literally only take 20 minutes at most. But as I say, there's no accident emergency in Monaghan. There's no ambulances in Monaghan because they're all based in Cavan. So that's where they're coming from. So it takes time. That's why you would often hear ambulances here. So that's the problem with Monaghan. Not so much in Cavan. I don't know why there was a few people in Cavan waiting nearly 2 hours for an ambulance in Cavan. I don't get it. And the fact of the matter, as I said before, in Kingscourt, it was up that side of the county, that there was a big carry on there for. I can't even remember the whole lot of it, but there was a lot of carry on back a while. Yeah, like the Green Party are fucked anyway, because as you see, the price of diesel and petrol are going to be the most expensive in the European Union. In Ireland, imagine that. Out of every other country in the European Union and in Europe, Ireland's going to be the most expensive for diesel and petrol. Think about that. Yeah, accident emergency be like urgent care, like if you have an accident. So what to just briefly talk about this? So this was last Friday. Now, this fellow is very, very lucky. He hit so basically, I don't know what was wrong with him, but he's very, very lucky. He was going about 60 miles an hour. As you see here, he literally crashed into the pole, then crashed into the wall. I don't know how the wall didn't collapse. It's a miracle how the wall didn't collapse, just to say. And it's a miracle how he's still alive, to be totally honest with this fellow. I suppose the only thing that saved him is he has his seatbelt on. Because he was going 60 miles an hour or something like that, 50 miles an hour. So he wasn't just like tipped it. He literally fucking floored it. So he's very, very lucky. Because if he didn't have his seatbelt on, he would have smashed head first into the wall and he would be just dead. He's very, very lucky. Because he hit it, especially when you see that, he hit it at some speed. Because it takes a lot to bend these big, like especially in that angle, it takes a lot to hit a pole and bend it. And especially a big cement wall to literally crack it. Now the other side of the wall has collapsed. This just off photo had collapsed, but as you see, it's nearly collapsed, but the wall stood. So that stopped him too. And he's lucky that the wall did hold too, because there's a house this side. And if the wall didn't hold and he smashed straight through it, or if he was going a bit more faster, he probably would have went into the house too and probably maybe done more damage. But long story short, I think he must have been drunk. I don't know what was that because he couldn't be caused this issue. But long story short, he's very, very lucky to be still alive. And as it says, flattened. Like, he literally did flatten. Like, look at the bend in that. And he's very, very lucky. That's all I say. Where was that? Sorry. Yeah, but he's extremely lucky. Because I've seen this myself. I've seen this last week. On Saturday, I was in Boughton, but I seen it. Be very, very lucky. I seen it, like, you can see the bend in that. Like, it's some bend. I don't think the photo does it justice, but it's some bend in that. Like, he hit it with some force. That's what I'm trying to say. It wasn't like he backed up into it and it was a little hit. Like, it was some force. Like, he is extremely lucky to be alive, and he's lucky nobody was walking this footpath. It was lucky that it was 11 o'clock at night and it was in a state people would be in bed, etc., out drinking or whatever. So he's very, very lucky. To be totally honest, because we could have been looking at mass casualties here if he was going any faster. Give me a second now. Sorry, that. I don't know, but they got to arrest him, obviously, so I don't know what happened. I suppose we know more soon. Now, what to talk about? Obviously, this is just a small local matters. I know people wouldn't really care about this kind of stuff. So this is to do with the GP service in Ballyheirs in County Cavan, just a bit down the road from here. So when I was growing up, I went to school in Ballyheirs, obviously, to a national school. Just to say, there used to be always a GP in Ballyheirs. Like, there's a surgery in Ballyheirs. It used to be always open. Like, there was a GP in Ballyheirs there. Now, not so much. It's only used with the HSE. It used to be used as a vaccination centre back a few years ago. But now it's just kind of like an island. So they haven't. So basically, they can't find a doctor basically for the GP service. Now, it isn't that big of a deal so much in Ballyheirs because they have Cavan Town literally only less than 10 minutes away. So it isn't that big of a deal. So they can get a GP in Cavan Town or Drummondlea. But still, nonetheless, there should probably be one because there was literally one for I don't know how many years in Ballyheirs, even before I was even born, probably in the 70s, in the 60s. There was a GP there. So it's. I think just what I'm trying to raise here is it's a sad state of affairs when it's literally years ago to get GPs, and nowadays we can't do it. And it'd be a lot easier for elderly people too, just in Ballyheirs, instead of having to hawk on the bus. They could go up the road to the GP instead of having to go into the town, etc., etc. But I don't think it ever will happen. I said they probably will never do it, put the GP back there, but we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to tell people what I knew other than it. Okay, yeah. They love their videos anyway. The state agencies, they love doing their videos anyway. That's how I know. I noticed that myself with all the agencies around Cavan. They just drive me mad. Now, this was talked about the council meeting the other day. Not enough people voting according to a council. And so this is Clifford Kelly. So he's in Kingscourt up there. He's a long-time member of Fianna Fáil. Obviously, he's there since God was gotten. But basically, long story short, he's saying that not a lot of people voted. Only half of the population in Cavan voted. Now, to be totally honest, it's my fault anyway, because literally the one day, and I said this many times, the one time I literally left the state in the history of my life, left the country, was literally the night of the election. And I wouldn't mind. It was only if it was fucking earlier, it's insane. Like, it was the worst time unimaginable when they called that fucking European election. Council election, like the worst time imaginable. And I wouldn't mind have been sitting here since then. There's no elections. And I'm fucking pissed about it. I'm still pissed about it. Like there's a lot of people in Cavan, like the majority of people in Cavan, and again, the majority of people I know, etc., are just kind of sick of it. They're sick of elections. They're sick of them. They're sick of Fianna Fáil. They're sick of Fine Gael. They're sick of Sinn Féin. They're sick of the whole fucking lot of them. And that's just to put it in perspective. That's what they're sick of. Particularly elderly people. They're just fucking sick of it because the same, the whole lot of them are fucking a pile of crooks, to be totally honest. And that's just to put it straight. That's what the majority of them would say to you. They're just fucking sick of it. They come to the only time they ever come looking for something is when they're looking for votes. And then if they want to wing the TDs and councils, they can't get speaking to them because they're too afraid to speak to them. So a lot of people are just fucking sick of it in Cavan. And that's just putting it straight. That's just to put it straight. And nobody sees any difference, basically. You could vote for the man on the moon and it still wouldn't be any difference. The man on the moon would probably do more. But long story short, nobody cares, basically. And particularly young people, nobody gives a shit. As I said before, just before the local town election, I came across Madeline Nauk, and she's retired now. Her daughter's a councillor now here in this area. But long story short, she's been here as a councillor for nearly 40 years or something like that. 40 years. Long time councillor, probably literally in the 70s she was a councillor, from then to now. And long story short, this woman would retire too, and I said this before, and she was trying to handle a leaflet, etc., trying to say who she was, etc. She was like, "Do not know who I am. I haven't been here for the last 30 years as a councillor in this area." And literally living all her life here, this Irish young lassie, didn't know a bit of her, basically. Didn't know her at all, didn't really want to know her. But again, that just emphasises the whole state of affairs. Nobody believes in democracy because, unfortunately, nothing will ever change in Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael, and Sinn Féin too. The whole lot of them are one and the same. Just different titles, I suppose. But long story short, that's the reason why. And because the councillors, the majority of councillors here in Cavan too, I've heard them before the election, I've listened to every one of them talk. And they're literally like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do the other, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do the other. And as we speak now, nothing has really been done. Nothing that they said they were going to do has been done. There's very little progress on it. There's kind of a snail's pace being done. So basically, the next election, they'll be all like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. But after the election, they don't give a shit. That's just the straight up fact. So why would people bother their arse to go out and vote? But yeah. Oh yeah, you're talking about the OT investigators. Yeah, Kingscourt and County Cavan. That's where Fallon Mountain's from, up that way. Up that side of the country, the other side of the county. Kingscourt has very wide streets. I don't know why. I always every time I'm in Kingscourt, the streets are so wide in Kingscourt. I don't know why they made them so wide. Like compared to all the other towns in Cavan, they're just fucking huge. The streets. I don't know why they're so huge. Even the ones in Helsinki wouldn't even as big as it. I don't know why they made fucking big streets in Kingscourt. And nobody literally on the fucking streets. Kingscourt's not the town it used to be. It's just dead nearly now. We'll probably get into the OT thing. I didn't see much of it, seen bits and bobs. But it's the usual crack. Obviously, there was some things said by people on the program thing that shouldn't be. Isn't acceptable, I suppose, in a way. We'll talk about it in detail later on. But long story short, too, just to mention that they are appointing an Irish language officer to Cavan County Council. So hopefully within the next week or two, basically, what I've been told. So it's good too that they're trying to. So this language, you're probably wondering why they're doing it. So it's to promote the Irish language too, and different courses, etc., to get into the Irish language, etc. So it's a good thing, in my opinion. It's a good investment. Now we're going to go to Finland. We'll go back to Ireland now in a second, don't worry. But I'm just going to briefly talk about Finland here, and then we'll go to back to Ireland. How does that sound? How does that sound, Falcon? So, long story short, you probably have seen this, and I know a lot of people talk about this because the media, the Western media, finally copped on to the Finnish government. There's something very wrong with them. Like people thought it was so they're basically saying for undocumented people, they want them just basically to die in the street, basically. Now, to be totally honest, I kind of agree with that too. If somebody's undocumented and left to your country, they're not entitled to really enter. You've broken the law. You shouldn't be in the country. You should be sent home immediately. To be totally honest, that's my view on it. But long story short, the true Finns, not so much the National Coalition Party, but the true Finns want this expanded. They wanted to include all people That's out, like even people that have residency permits, not fully citizens. So take for example an Irish person that's not a full citizen of Finland. Take for example, they're on a residency permit. They have permission to be in Finland, of course, to live in Finland. So basically, they want everybody that's not from Finland to just literally not have any treatment. So that's literally true Finns for you. So, and not to mention they're literally talking about like they've already done it. The National Coalition Party and the True Finns, they've got rid of 1,000 doctors and nurses from the Finnish health service just because it's time to cut. So long story short, they hate everything. Basically, they hate everybody. If they got away with it, probably get rid of the whole health service in Finland altogether. But long story short, I don't disagree with them if they want to get rid of it for anybody that's undocumented. But there's not that many undocumented in Finland. It's not like here people are just turning up with no passport. I don't think you get in with no passport. If people do get into Finland, it's through Sweden and probably through Norway. Nobody's coming in through the airports anyway. I tell you that for a fact, because they're very strict on the airports. I can tell you for a fact. Especially because it's very nerve-wracking. Even if you're going in documented, etc., or even as a tourist, having big machine guns literally every side of you, it's very intimidating. But yeah, so that's what they want to do. But long story short, again, they want to get rid of it for everybody. Any person that's not from Finland, they're just going to let you die on the street. Isn't that great? So we see what happens there. So yeah, I posted this on the community post. So Finland achieved a new record. So you probably see down here. So this is when Sanna Marin was prime minister, 2020. So you can see down here. This is Sanna Marin's government's time. So you literally see the lowest in a long time in Finland. So this is all the bankruptcies from 2005 to 2020 and onwards. So this is now this big bang. So you can see it's always been fairly stable. In 2008, it was pretty bad, as you see. 2000, then it fell again. So this is to do with bankruptcies of businesses, small shops, businesses, hairdressers, etc. You see the big drop here. But in Sanna Marin's government, even during the lockdowns and stuff like that, the big drop. So during Sanna Marin's government, during nearly the whole period of Sanna Marin's government, the only amount of businesses that went bankrupt was barely 1,000 or so. That was always about 1,000 businesses, which isn't bad during the lockdown stuff like that. As I said to you before, 97% of the businesses, small businesses especially in Finland, reopened after the lockdowns because the Social Democrats and particularly Sanna Marin's leadership and etc., and the support of the local businesses. But then as soon as Sanna Marin, as you see here, this is when Sanna Marin left office. And it just kind of blew up, like quite literally. You can see literally when she left office, it kind of whizzed steadily a bit. It whizzed a bit, and then as soon as it fell, then obviously for a bit then too. But then as soon as the True Finns and the National Coalition Party came, it's just exploded. So it's heading upwards of. So this is even worse than it is here. So it's nearly 4,000 something, 4,400 and something in less than 400 and something days. They've literally bankrupted a majority of businesses in Finland. So basically, over 4,400 businesses have shut in Finland since this yoke came around. As you see here, like it literally just it blew up. And it's the worst in 2000. Like as you see, 2008 was the worst. But literally, the True Finns have literally off the charts. Like they literally put it up the charts. And the reason why, and I say this, it's because they cut business subsidies, etc., etc. They've cut other services for businesses, etc., because it's time to cut. It's just time to cut. So that's what they did, and that's what happened. So that when that all exploded, and not to mention they put up the taxes extremely high. Not to mention the fucking over people that's working, etc., not to mention there's less workers' rights have been fucked over. Basically, businesses and people who go out to work, etc., have less rights than they did before. So basically, this was inevitable. So long story short, by the end of the year, what they reckon it's going to be 5,500 and something businesses. In less than 400 and something days, they've literally closed nearly 5,000 businesses because of their policies. And again, this is the leader of the True Finns. She's too busy worrying about fucking camels. Like this is literally what she's tweeting about. She's more worried about this, and she's more worried about the next government. Like you see in her tweets on Twitter, it's completely deranged, to be totally honest. Like this woman is deranged. She's too busy fucking worrying about the next government because shocker. Nobody's going to vote for the True Finns after this in the National Coalition because this is the worst. Just to say, it is actually the worst. And like this poll only does into 2005, but it's the worst in Finland's history. That the amount of businesses, the people have lost their jobs, etc. Because to be totally honest, the numbers are astonishing. 30,000 people have lost their jobs because of this. 30,000. And the same woman says there's going to be 100,000 jobs in the Finnish economy by the end of the year. It's not going too well because basically the unemployment figure in Finland is astonishing. It's the worst. It's the second worst in the European Union. There's nearly 300,000 people don't have a job because there's no jobs for them. Because there's nobody opening the business because everybody's just going bankrupt because the Finnish economy is literally blown up. Not to mention the budget that they've implemented. They've literally fucked over everybody. Something fierce. So, long story short, I think they should have kept this woman around because, that's literally when Sanna Marin was in government. This is literally the time when she was in government. And I don't know how we went from here to there. I like, tell me, somebody explain to me how we went from Sanna Marin's government from here. How did we get to there in less than a year? How did we do it? In 400 and something days, how did they do it? Like, this is when Sanna Marin was in government. Like, how did they do it? Like, explain to me, somebody. Because I can't get how they did it in less than 400 and something days. It's just drawn. Like. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's the truth. And as I said, they're the worst people you could have. But no, I just want to talk because it is. I don't think you know how the range they actually are in the true Finns. So I try and explain this best I can, but long story short, the funniest thing about it all too. So they're literally quite into the European Union now. So the True Finns and the National Coalition Party wanted to leave the European Union, and now they're literally asking for money from the European Union. Even though the two parties wanted to leave the European Union, wanted to get out of the European Union. But just to say, I said about it before, the two parties, the National Coalition and the True Finns, silently took out of the manifesto that they ever wanted to leave the European Union. So basically, they fucked over their own photos because they promised we will leave the European Union, etc., etc. So they fucked over their own promise. They promised they would leave the European Union, and they're basically now going cap in hand, begging for money from the European Union. And long story short, this Minister for Finance, where's that money going to go to? Because let's be fair, they've literally done nothing to help anybody, basically. They seem to hate themselves. So, yeah, it's quite funny. So this didn't go well. So the biggest scandal, I suppose, again, this takes the cake. So the Minister of, this is probably article here. No, it's not. But long story short, I'm trying to explain this the best I can, so bear with me for 2 seconds. So long story short, there was an agreement in June between many governments to do with Ukraine. Take for example, we were building Ukraine, some kind of initiative to rebuild the Ukraine, etc., after the war, whatever, something like that. And it's to do with minorities and stuff like that too in Ukraine, etc., looking after them. So it's basically funding and joining the group to help out rebuilding Ukraine and looking after people in Ukraine after the war was finished, etc., and the only country that didn't join out with the European Union was Finland. Finland didn't join. So the minister, what they call the sub-minister for foreign affairs, I suppose we call him, was in charge of it. And basically he refused to join it. So the Finnish government refused to join it back then. And this is the next part is the worst part of it. It's only coming out now, and that was in June. That was 4 months ago nearly. So they tried to hide it. Obviously the media found out about it. So people in Finland are not too impressed because Finland's very pro-Ukraine and very anti-Russian. So basically, as many people in Finland, there's literally up in arms at the moment because they're that upset about it. And to be totally unrightly so, because they tried to hide it from the Finnish public, etc., etc. But a lot of people in Finland, they call him Putin's useful idiot. Because literally that's what the government at the moment in Finland is, they're Putin's useful idiots. And they truly are, because they're literally too afraid to stand up with Putin, etc., etc. And not to put it bluntly, they basically kind of just let Putin do whatever he's what at the moment. by doing that too, because they're the only country in the European Union that done it. They didn't, support this thing with Ukraine in supporting rebuilding, etc., etc. And a lot of Finnish people are very upset about it. As I say, 99% of the Finnish public gets Russia. They don't like. They don't want anything to do with Russia. Um, so people are not very happy. And the fact too that it was hidden from the Finnish public, and that they tried to shut it down and not make anybody talk about it. People are not very happy, and particularly that it nearly stays to the side of with Putin nearly at this stage, the Finnish government, the current Finnish government. So basically, everybody in Finland's up in arms. So this is the biggest scandal in Finland of the year, because the next bit is the worrying part. So the Finnish government's definitely going to collapse. The current Finnish government, the true Finns, are going to be gone because the Social Democratic Party is putting no confidence, along with the other coalition. So basically, the government's going to collapse. It's inevitable. They're going to be gone. They're just gone because the Social Democratic Party, Sanna's party. You probably remember when they passed the bill on the border, take for example, they needed the Social Democratic Party to vote with them. So now the Social Democratic Party said they're not going to vote with the current government in Finland, regardless of what they put forward. So basically, the government are fucked because they need the Social Democrat support to pass motions, to pass amendments if they need to. So basically, the Finnish government are currently just fucked because everybody's very angry, basically, in Finland at the moment. And to be totally honest, it is kind of Putin, because the only person that benefits, to be totally honest, is Putin. And to be totally honest, that's all it is. And people in Finland are not very happy because they're basically just kind of saying to the Russian government, we're willing to hand off our own country's sovereignty too. So people are not very happy. And especially because they tried to hide it. That's what's annoying people the most. That they hide it, that they hid it from June, like they hid it. Like they actively did. Yeah, no bother, no bother. But long story short, hopefully the Finnish government will fall, because it's very sinister stuff they're up to, the current Finnish government. Like hiding it away from the public, and particularly because, again, they should have knew the whole Finnish public would react in this way, especially because, the values, etc., in Finland. And particularly, obviously, they're not too fond of the Russians. So they should probably knew that the Finnish public would be outraged with this. They probably should have thought about it, but anyway. So as people kept sharing, this is literally the true Finns at the moment. They're just Russian puppets, basically, at the moment, because they all just seem, because the only people that's benefited is the Russians. And it's not really just about Ukraine. I'll just go back here for a second. It's not just so much about Ukraine too. It's the fact of the matter that there's many people in Finland that want them to stand up to Russia, as they did in the past, etc., etc. They don't want to be stood over. And the fact of the matter at the moment, the Finnish government looks very weak in what they're doing. Like basically just saying to Putin, we're not going to stop you doing anything. And that's what they don't want, he's on YouTube and stuff like that. I think on Twitter too. But it's the fact of the matter, people would have said about the woman behind me. They wanted Santa Marin would have been very more tough. Oh yeah, but the thing is, and I do, I suppose in a way, they should have never kind of attacked. Whatever about being, obviously we know about the expansion of NATO, etc., etc. They expanded over time, etc., but they should never have attacked a country and were wanting to kill people, etc., etc. They should have never done that. As simple as that. Whatever about the expansion of NATO, etc. So nobody should have ever attacked any country, and that's my opinion on it. They should never have done that. Because we see people just being killed, etc., etc. It's mindless slaughter, to be told, in the nicest possible way to put it. And that's just the simple fact of it. Because if they probably would have sat down and talked, they could have worked stuff out. Simple as that. They could have probably maybe worked stuff. I know we said about NATO expanding and stuff like that, but generally, if they did, they probably could have. It's the fact of the matter that they went and attacked too. They should never have done that. Because at the end of the day, what I am at heart, I suppose, too, is I don't want to see any wars in the world. I don't want to see anybody being hurt or killed. As a Christian, I'm sure as any Christian would say, we don't want to see people being hurt and killed. And mindless suffering, etc., the needless, and that shouldn't be happening in the world. And that's just the thing. Um, and it's just that. And I think that's the majority of people in the world too, that they don't want to see mindless suffering. Um, but no, long story short, but the Finnish public, obviously, you can understand it from back in the day, because Russia wanted to take their country, and uh, Stalin wasn't going to be happy with them. Let's put that way. It was more or less that we're going to shoot everybody that disagrees with the Soviet Union, basically. So you can see why they're not that keen on the Russians, and obviously been occupied for hundreds of years. They're not that keen on them. um, but but it's the fact of the matter too that they actually pretty much benefit from the Russians at that stage. Uh, and I suppose in a Finnish perspective too, as a lot of them said, they kind of take it on themselves back in the day, during the Winter War, etc. Uh, it's speaking to them and stuff like that, you kind of understand a lot more where they're coming from. Uh, if that makes any sense, I don't know if it makes any sense. Um, but there's a lot of the Finnish people said when I was there too, and even Sanna said it herself. If Russia never attacked Ukraine, Finland would have never joined NATO. Suppose that they would have probably never done it, because they were offered many times in the past to join NATO. They were offered in the 90s. They were offered in the 80s. They were offered a long time to join NATO, and Finland chose not to. And that's the thing. So that really tells you a lot too. They never really wanted to. It's the fact of the matter: Russia went and attacked their neighbor, and Ukraine, etc. I suppose that's really what made it join NATO. It's a long story, but I talked about it a good bit before. I can talk about it a good bit more, but that's basically the whole Finnish summary, basically, of the current situation. But you get what I'm saying. When the rebuilding and stuff like that, the program that was joined, they didn't join. Sorry, not they didn't join. Was supposed to rebuild Ukraine's infrastructure, etc., water, etc. Um, um, and then obviously protect people, minorities, etc. In Ukraine, etc. And all the Baltic states, Poland, the three Baltic states, Romania, Lithuania, Romania, all them countries joined. Now, so the only country that didn't join was Finland. So so, and the fact it wasn't really a military thing, it was more kind of rebuilding and stuff like that. So a lot of Finnish people are not very pleased, and especially that they hide it. That's the worst thing that people didn't like about it. That they tried to hide it. They would have never said anything only for the press dug it up and found out about it. So the fact of the matter, they tried to hide it and cover it up. It's not acceptable either. At least if they were openly saying it, people would have probably been less upset. But again, it's going to bring down the Finnish government because people are just not happy with them. And this is the latest thing in Finland. Not to mention, every day of the week, they literally are fucking somebody over somewhere. Because, it's the true event. Yeah, no such thing as monkeypox. The media seems to have forgotten about that. A few months ago, they were literally freaking out about it. Now there's not one hate about it. Notice that. Very peculiar. It is time to cut. Also, Elon Musk has responded to the Irish government's adopting the hate speech bill. The West has fallen. But yeah. But I do hope, and I sincerely hope that the True Finns and the National Coalition Party do collapse, and that some kind of sensible government will be put back in place. Because what's currently happening in Finland is it's pretty bad, to put it straight. And we need we need to think about getting this woman back into as prime minister. We need to recall her from retirement and get her back, because that's what we need to do. There's no doubt about it. We need to get this woman back as quick as possible. Yeah, well, I've seen that too. Zelensky did ban it, along with other churches and stuff. Obviously, shouldn't do that, of course, but as opposed to the state of emergency, that the legislation that they did pass But obviously shouldn't have done in the first place, the vigilance too. But we can only hope anyway some kind of peace to be found sooner rather than later in the conflict in Ukraine. The same in Gaza too. We hope that's up and some kind of peace can be found somewhere. Because that's just the main thing I think everybody wants is peace. They don't want conflict, etc., etc. And I think that's just everybody. So the Italian government, Giorgia Meloni's finally doing something. So when she was elected, she said she would do this and do that, the other. So about time she finally is doing something for the first time in her life. So asylum seekers numbers going to Italy at the moment are down by 60% because they actually are, as she promised when she got elected, she promised she'd be very tough on asylum seekers, etc., etc. And she is, in fairness, because the majority of asylum seekers have been sent to Albania to be processed, etc., etc., and then they've been sent out home if they're not allowed to come. And I do support this in the way too that people that are doing this kind of carry on, there should probably be something like that. We probably should look at something like that here too. We should probably look at that. So I do support that too in Italy. Now I don't know what the Irish public be too, but there should be because these people in society, the worst, the scum of the earth, people who do these kind of crimes, and we should deal with them very harshly. And we should make them tick before they do anything. And that's only doing this and doing other stuff like it to them will stop them from doing it. So hopefully, Italy she's finally seems to be doing doing something. Let's put that way. So sorry about that. Just brief trouble. Hello. Oh yeah, of course I do too. Of course I do too. It'd be always great to see no borders in the island of Ireland, of course. What I mean with no borders, obviously, just not an open country you can walk into. But Northern Ireland, we all want to see it'd be the end. It'd be the end of a long struggle, basically. That's what I mean. If that makes any sense, I'm sure you get what I'm saying. But also too, we want to do it in a peaceful manner. We wouldn't want to say, for example, if there's a referendum to reunite with Northern Ireland. Obviously, there still is a big unionist community in Down, etc., etc., and that's in that part. Not so much of Fermanagh or that part, but we wouldn't want trouble. We wouldn't want a civil war. Well, not really a civil war, but violence. We wouldn't want to go back to the troubles where it was bombings and killing and stuff like that. We wouldn't want to see that happening. I'm sure we could all agree, say, for example, bombings and cavan and stuff like that. If Ireland did reunite with Northern Ireland, take for example, we wouldn't want innocent civilians just being blown up, etc., etc. We wouldn't want that, I'm sure, too. Because all the troubles, too, is just sets us sort of. Like even the bombings in Bautoba that I talked about many times, the two innocent young children being blown to bits, etc., etc. We wouldn't want that. We would want to try and do it as peaceful as possible. And obviously understanding, too, the union as majority, etc., etc. We'd have to do that. Because we couldn't be oppressive and stuff like that. We couldn't do that. We would have to we kind of have to meet them midway, I suppose, if that makes any sense. Oh, I know, but we have to try and be as decent as possible. But again, the unionist majority has gone down a lot, as you see in Fermanagh too, and Derry and stuff. It's more down. That's part of the world that there's a big unionist majority, especially because unionism is very broken in Northern Ireland too. But again, we wouldn't want a huge trouble because the only people who would suffer was you and me and the Irish people. People in Northern Ireland would suffer. People in the Republic of Ireland would suffer. We'd bomb on each side of the border. By people being shot, people being killed. We wouldn't want that because if we're just going back to the dark past and stuff, we wouldn't want that. We wouldn't want our children to grow up and seeing people blowing up in the street, etc., etc. Because again, it could be very violent if that erupted. If Northern Ireland did erupt again, it would be very violent. And it's a very difficult situation, Northern Ireland. But it can in the future probably will. We will probably be united, but we do have to meet the union's population some way. Because especially because the decrease in the union's population is decreased a lot. But you kind of have to be, walk with them because there's nothing really we could do. They lived in Northern Ireland since the partition of the state. There's nothing really, you can't really force them to leave. If that makes any sense. But no, we see Anna Georgia Malone, but she seems to be going in the right direction. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. She's not there yet, but she's getting there. Let's put that. She's doing something at least, that's just the main thing. Oh man, yeah, like the Boston Marathon. I remember that happened too when I was younger. Like that was just every day in Ireland from probably the 60s onto the 90s when the Good Friday Agreement was signed. It was just every day, bombings here, bombings there, bombing here, bombing there. And it was just all sets to slaughter. Yeah, the Dublin Monaghan bomb is just, we wouldn't want that happening again. Take, for example, on the Connell Street, we wouldn't want a bomb to go off. If there was trouble, say, for example, in Northern Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, we wouldn't want innocent people just being bombed in the Connell Street or in Grafton Street, in car bombs, etc. So I don't, like in 7th October, there was unannounced car bombs, anybody could have been killed, and we just simply wouldn't want to. We wouldn't want to go back to that. I think the majority of people, even in Northern Ireland and in the Republic of Ireland, have both said after the Good Friday Agreement, we don't want to go back to it, because there's far too many people that don't have brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers with them today because they were bombed or killed by the IRA or by the Unionists or by the British Army. We wouldn't want to go back to that, basically. I'm sure everybody would agree we wouldn't want to, because it didn't benefit anybody. It was just pain and suffering for the whole country. And the same with the Boston bombing. It achieved nothing. It caused pain and suffering, and killed innocent people that were just at a marathon. It didn't achieve anything anything. It just killed innocent people, and that's the majority of the troubles too. Just killing innocent people. Yeah, briefly. That was the first thing I talked about. Let me see. So, long story short, I'm very delighted that they seen sense. But they will try again. It's not like they're going to forget about it and throw it to the side and never talk about it again. The next government, they'll probably give it a few months. Whatever the next government will be, we don't know at the moment what's going to be the next government. But for the moment, for the next year anyway, I can tell you for a fact, for the next year, there's not going to be anything done with it. But after a year's time, with this new government, whatever it be, Sinn Féin or Labour Party or whatever, that's when the trouble is going to start, because they will try and bring it forward again. Like Sinn Féin, the whole political parties in the door want it, apart from Main two and a few were independents. The Labour Party are crying, they're upset that they can't pass it. Like, they will do it. Like, they will do it. Helen McAfee basically nearly said it herself too. That they're going to try and bring it up another time. Like, they will. Like 100% they will. It's just for the fact at the moment they're not going to do it, because they know they're going to be annihilated if they do it. And even if they bring it forward in 2 years' time, take example, in 2028 or whatever, people are still going to be uproaring about it. It simply cannot be done. There's just far too much opposition to it. But it's a good step for it's a good step for democracy and free speech that it has been binged for the moment. For the moment, again, the word is the moment. It's not the fact of the matter that it's not going to turn up again. It's going to turn up someday. Especially because the media are already starting this narrative, as we see it in OT investigates, etc., that we need this, we need to pass it quick. That's what's going to happen. That the media drive and they try and push for it to be passed, and that's what's going to happen. We already see the media kind of, we have to do it. We have to do it now within the next 5 minutes, so we're gone. But it is positive for the moment. But again, it's the fact of the matter, it's not gone for good. People think it's gone for good and never going to be talked about again. Obviously, this is a common government between the Fine Gael and the Green Party coalition. We don't know what the next government will be. And Sinn Féin themselves are more nearly forward than Fianna Gael. Sinn Féin themselves have jumped up and down about it many times. And then the Labour Party, if they're in government, they jumped up and down about it many times. And same people before Bath, they all jumped up and down about it. So, even the coalition, even if they got into government in the morning, the opposition may say, the so-called opposition, but even if they got into government in the morning, they nearly be as pro as Fianna Gael. So basically, step one again. So that's the I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what's going to happen, unfortunately. But maybe they might take a lesson. But it's good that they didn't. Yeah, the bombs were off in every part of the country, like every part. But long story short, it did no good to anybody. It's just mindless pain and suffering. So this is basically summarize what I was talking. Just go back to the Finnish government for a second. Like this just summarizes it. So they were rejoicing that the ministers were drawing assistance to Ukraine. So this was in terms of rebuilding Ukraine after the war. So Russia's kind of celebrating that Finland done this. So basically, all aid to like medical aid and stuff, he's basically rejecting it. And they're basically going to give Russian organizations money, basically. So Finnish people are very upset at the moment, especially because the fact of the matter, everything else is being cut. Like all the Finnish Joes are being fucked over and they're giving money to the Russian organizations. So this is not going down well, basically, to put it straight to you. Because there's a woman going around the whole fucking country of Finland, running around with sitters and calling her the Minister of Sitters. So this is not going well, because literally at the moment, as you've seen, so many businesses are going bankrupt and they're giving millions to a Russian organization in Finland to look after Russian people. Like they're not that happy at the moment, Finnish people. Especially because again, their allegiances really are in Ukraine, not so much the Russians. They don't. Nobody really cares about the Russians in Finland, and probably widely so too, because their history, etc., etc. It's the same with Ireland and England. Just to put in perspective, it's the same really thing, but just a bigger country, I suppose you would call it. It's the same, occupied for hundreds of years, etc., etc., invaded. Pretty much the same. So you can see why they're not that fond of the Russians. Especially, as I say, what they're trying to bring loads of people across the border, loads of undocumented migrants, trying to force them into Finland, etc., etc. You can kind of see why they're very upset about the Russians. Well, not really coping. It's more that they are nearly committing treason, to be totally honest. So you can see why the Finnish public are not very happy. No, I'm not, like, they obviously are always coping anyway, the true Finns, etc., etc. Now, there was something else I was going to say. See, I'm too busy yapping. I can't remember. Give me a moment, sorry. Chat among yourselves for 2 seconds, just when I find this. Short, long story, yeah. I don't know why I keep saying that, but So yeah, we were just talking earlier on about the OT investigates. I have to talk about the protest in Dublin too. I forgot about that. But long story short, there was some scenes from that document. I watched a bit of it. I've seen a bit of it online, etc., etc. Now there was some scenes that were, probably shouldn't, an Irish person shouldn't be doing. To put it straight here, in some things they were saying, in a way, particularly in some cases, etc., etc. There was some aggression, I suppose, towards people and stuff like that, and some violent threats against people. Like, nobody can argue with that, but that shouldn't have been happening. And particularly because a few people that said they care about women, etc., etc., nearly, threatening to beat up women, etc., shouldn't be happening either, of course. But the majority of it was kind of just a hit, basically just saying to people, you should just shut up and say nothing. We're going to shut you up. We're going to lock you up. We want to lock you up for hate speech, etc., etc. Basically, it is a hit piece in itself. There was some of it that was disturbing to watch, of course. But a lot of it was just kind of hit piece from the mainstream media, from the OT, because obviously this is the government, basically. OT is the government. They're funded by the government, etc., etc. And they obviously want the whole country to be overrun with people. And it's just the straight up truth. The national broadcaster promotes it every day of the week. But there was some scenes that were disturbing, and I would say that. And obviously a lot of this, but the long story short, this is the thing OT seem to have forgot about it. If the government didn't bring in all these people, this wouldn't be happening. As simple as that. This is the beginning and end of it. If the government never brought in all these people from Timbuktu, etc., etc., this wouldn't be happening. And that's what OT should have emphasised, that the government shouldn't have never brought in these amount of people, and this wouldn't be happening. And the same with bringing in people to communities, etc. That should never have happened. And it's the fact of the matter they're still doing it. That's what's causing more anxious and more annoyance in the communities, etc., etc. Because the government is still doing it forcibly by members from Garda Síochána and the OIC, etc., etc. And this is still happening to this day. The Garda are forcing people into places in the middle of the night, and it's happening. But again, it's just a hit piece trying to say to people, these people are, anybody that protests about people being brought in the middle of the night are far right dangerous thugs. They need to be killed. More or less what OT has said. But again, in some points there was fairy tale scenes from some protesters, etc., etc. But the majority of people, wouldn't obviously is filing at some of them people, but and that's what I say in the matter. But long story short, it really is in the way people like myself, etc. The OT would call us dangerous thugs that need to be eliminated. That was more or less what they were saying, that they should be locked up for 9 billion years for daring to criticize Leo and Mihol and all that, because he shouldn't not dare to criticize the government. Yeah, like it's propaganda control, but in some parts of it there was some like aggression and stuff like that shouldn't happen, basically. Like I will admit that, and I think everybody would admit that we shouldn't protest and people that's opposed to it and stuff. It shouldn't be. I don't know what the word is to describe, but it shouldn't be getting extremely violent, etc., etc. Yeah, like the start of fire. Yeah. Now they're only getting compensation now, the victims and stuff like that, isn't that? Is that what the government are doing now? But that wasn't to do with any bombings or anything. That was just a poor installation, poor fire regulators. Like the fire entrances were closed, etc., etc. Were locked, etc., etc. But yeah, that's just my thoughts in the documentary. Now we'll move on to the protest that happened. I think Friday, was it? I only knew about it now. To be totally honest, somebody told me by a text that literally was bloody murder in Dublin in the protest, on Friday. But it doesn't seem like there was bloody murder. Like there was not much. Like some people were arrested, of course, but not. Like there wasn't bloody murder. The way the man was going on, I thought there was literally people with guns on the street shooting people. That's what I thought. So I didn't know what to say to that. But the majority of this did seem to be peace trouble. There might have been some instances, but the majority of videos I've seen online, the majority of people didn't seem to like. The majority of people just there march and protest. A lot of people, I don't know where these 19 arrests. It must have been just because the OIC came along then and pushed people down a Con Street. I've seen that bit. So maybe some people pushed the guards. I don't actually know. I don't even remember seeing any videos of that somebody hit somebody, or maybe probably damaging some property or something. I don't know. So I don't know where all these arrests. There was only 19, I suppose, in a way. So I don't know. But they had Let's House locked down. Like literally, the whole house was literally knocked down. Like knocked down, not knocked down, locked down. Like the gates, the big gates up, etc., blocking off Let's the house, etc. Basically, none of them were nowhere to be found. But long story short, it sat on the Connaught Bridge. They were seeing this video too. So I don't know. I think maybe because a lot of them didn't move. Maybe people didn't move actually, come to think of it. So pretty much the same as what happened in Finland when I was there with what they called Extinction Rebellion. Probably failure to comply with a guarded directive or whatever they call it. Because a lot of people in Finland were arrested because they stood in the middle of the street, were sat in the middle of the street and wouldn't move, and the police directed them to move. So that's what that was. Maybe, I don't know. We probably know soon. I don't. Just on the go. See, I was at work. When I got that text from that person saying there was bloody murder, I don't think there was bloody murder. I'm sure you would agree. There wasn't nobody being killed. But the way he was going on, you think there was World War II in the streets of Dublin. Like, he was a bit over exaggerating on that bit. But again, I'm only seeing brief stuff online about it. But yeah, I presume so, because I actually only thought about it there. There was some of them said in the streets. But the only thing they could really be charged for is to not to listen to a guard instruction or whatever that it's called. Yeah, so probably just because they're on the. I don't know about the people being attacked. Like, you didn't see any video of that. I only sent this. Maybe somebody pushed the guard or something. Maybe. Well, there must have been. The only thing I presume is people sitting on the corner street wouldn't move in the West. Probably. That must be. Never played Monopoly. That's literally the after stomping things. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've seen there's a lot of girls. I don't know where all the public order came from, but when I was on the corner street that time before I went to Finland, there wasn't one guard about. Be totally honest. So I don't know where they all came from, because they all seem to come out of the woodwork when there's a protest. Like, there wasn't one about. I was that afraid going on the Collins Street to Pretoria. Like, I wouldn't go down there now. If you paid me 50 million euro, I wouldn't go near Collins Street to Pretoria or Grafton Street or any of them streets in the city. Said I wouldn't go to. I wouldn't go near Dublin if possible. That's just put it straight. Like, I would like to go to look around Let's the house someday, but I wouldn't go near it. not only that it's full of rats, two-legged rats, and long with only rats. Just for the history, not so much to see any of the fuckers. I don't want to see any of them, just to look around the history of it, etc., etc. I would like to do that someday, but I don't think I wouldn't be allowed. It'd be too far white, we couldn't have that a far white person then. They're all far right. No. Yeah, but there's a big yeah. Piggly. Where the fuck am I? Sorry. Rather than brain, but brain what? Well, something else was meant to talk, but then I carry. Give me a moment. Sorry for that. Yes, no, I don't know how bad it is in Dublin. I've seen videos and stuff like that, but I don't think it could be as bad as Rome and stuff like that. Like, it couldn't be that badish. Like, Dublin is dangerous, but I don't know about on scam level. Is it like that bad? You could ignore them probably. But in terms of danger, people carrying around knives and stuff, that's very real in Dublin. Now, so this was raised in the Dáil too the other day. That's really how I found it. But I think it was Michael Collins. So Michael, yeah, it was Michael Collins that weighs, not Michael Collins. Michael Collins, the Independent. He weighs in the dog. So I was just talking about Mullen and I was talking about ambulance waiting times. This back then. So this is to do with Kerry at the moment down in Kerry. Fucking Irish Independent with your fucking ads. So they were talking about cutting. So this has been reforced now, thankfully. We're talking about cutting ambulance services in Kerry. Leaving towns without coverage. So basically, no ambulances for some parts of Kerry. So literally no ambulances at all whatsoever. Now I don't know what kind of fucking lunatics walk in the National Ambulance Office, but thankfully they were forced, as you can read here. I don't know what kind of bollocks is who walk in the National Ambulance, or who is in offices and big fucking jobs in the HSE. But yeah, so basically what they're basically saying here in theory is fuck you everybody, you can die in the street, we don't care. Basically, that's the word of the HSE. So now they've forced this, but as Michael Collins said in the door, which I do agree with, the only reason why they did it because there's an election coming up, and it doesn't look too good leaving literally towns without any coverage from an ambulance. So people just literally die on the streets. Basically, that's more or less what they were saying to people in Kerry: just die on the street. Who cares? That's pretty much what was said in the nicest possible terms. Because nobody has any reason why. Because they have money for a bike shed, so it's not the money. Because they have loads of money if they want to spend it, but it's the fact of the matter where they spend it. That's the question of it. But they can spend money on 300,000 euro for a bike shed and fucking printers of 10 million euro. I'm sure they can afford a few ambulances and a few paramedics. Then hardly that fucking desperate. But yeah, so thankfully they copped on here. Thankfully. So, but yeah, I'm sure people would probably heard about it. It's insane what they were doing. We're all talking about years. Yeah, but no, but it's been reforced. It's not happening. It's been reforced. There was that much opposition to it that it just was reforced. So that's the good thing about it. It's not going to happen. Not yet, but give them a while and they'll do it. They're only not doing that because there's an election coming up and a lot of people. And because a lot of people too, this is in Kerry, because guess who the TD in Kerry going for the elections, general election, after doing all her good work the last few years, she's the whole place for them. After doing all the work in Kerry, she's building all the roads herself. She's doing all the work herself in Kerry. She's mighty. She's a mighty worker. We all know her. She's the best Minister for Education in the history of the state. Now, just to say this is a sarcastic quotes and stuff like that. Obviously, if I was supporting the woman, I'd be drunk and purely insane, of course. But long story short, Norma Foley's constituency. So long story short, if they done this, Norma Foley wouldn't be getting any votes. So Norma Foley would be very sad because she would lose her seat. To be totally honest, she should probably lost the seat long ago. Like she shouldn't have a job at all in any sense of this, any sense of the words. Any sense of the words. What's happened here? Yeah, but obviously that's been reforced. That decision there has been reforced since that article. But the only reason why I mentioned it because it was in the door. It was mentioned in the door. Dolly Allen. Sorry about that. Give me a second. put back on the music. Fucking ants. Um, where was this now? There was something I meant to do. Give me a moment. No, ma. So I'm just looking for this. I was mentioning the dog. I can't remember specifically now. Where the fuck is it now? Give me a moment. To check the dog records. Was it? What am I saying? Sorry. Don't live on. Oh yeah, the TDs are going to be getting a pay rise. Would you like to be a TD in the doll, in the doll? We should all just become TDs in the doll. Also, there's going to be more TDs in the doll than ever before. Because, you know, there's not enough TDs in the doll. Yeah. What's it? Tish the doll or whatever. Tish the what do you call it? It's Tish the doll or something like that, isn't it? Does anybody know Tish the doll or something like that? Something like that. That's what it is now. Tish the doll or something like that. Something similar. Tish the dawn or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, but something similar to that effect. Uh, it's an Irish, and it's the Irish for you know I don't know if I'm saying it right, but that's it there. I know how to spell it. I've seen it oftentimes in these, but that's what it stands for. Basically means member of the Dáil, I think. Also, we are happy they came back from the summer break after the hard week, after the hard month of hard work. Give me a moment. People. Uh, give me a moment, sorry. Yeah, no, that's not. Uh, as I say, this country is a fucked up fucking who of a country. To put it in the nicest possible terms, this country it's a shamble. It really is. I don't know how we could even call this country a country. It's just uh, yeah, member of parliament. Yeah, the same as the congressman or stuff. That's the same. It's pretty much the same as the House of the Oireachtas, the government, parliament. Uh, yeah, they call it in Finland MP. Yeah. One moment. Sorry, the cat banged her head into my door, of my bedroom door there. She must have just while I petted them, she went off. So I don't know. I didn't know what banged into the door there. So that's what she did. Sorry, so I was just about to say she just must have modded the pet and then give it off to her food or so. Now, much younger to take you. I feel like I'm ancient. So yeah, but anyway, moving on to this. Unfortunately, we have to move on to this. Unfortunately, we shouldn't be here discussing this. There shouldn't be an issue, basically. But this is scandalous, just to say. Like the poor young lad with literally life threatening, because this is what his skull looks like. Like it's literally crushing him, basically. To put it in respect, this is literally crushing. This is killing him. This is actively killing him. Slowly killing him. Like this is painful. That's right. A boy at 8 years old. To remove them, the HSC, the fuckers and the bastards, removed them from the surgery list after him waiting years for this operation. They removed them. And in fairness to Mary McDonald, she brought it up in the doll. In fairness to Sinn Féin, that she brought it up. And this is probably where it's really have, it's got out there, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. But it says about it. She said it was sent an email, etc., saying her son was offered. Like, wasn't even on the waiting list. Like, first of all, obviously there needs to be a waiting list. There's probably a lot because there's a lot of children affected with this because they've been left behind, they've been abandoned by the state. Because there's no money apparently to do this. Apparently, there's no money. The government says that we haven't got the money, but we have the money to bring in 100 million people from everywhere else. But we have no money to look after this young lad. We have no money to look after this young lad. And it's a sad state of affairs because they can spend 300 and something thousand in the bike shed. They can certainly look after the young lad. Because again, this poor young lad, if nothing's done with him soon, he's dead. As simple as that. It's just a sad thing to say, but that's just the playing up foot. And again, the people to blame be the Irish government, the Irish state. They'd be the responsible for this young lad's death. And particularly all the politicians, they're the people to be nearly responsible. They should be nearly holding. They should be equitably nearly liability to it. And the person that took this poor young lad off the list should be held criminally liable for if this young lad unfortunately passes away or anything like that. He should be. And to be told on the same as the T-shirt, they should be brought up the steps for it. Because this is scandalous. This is more than scandalous, and this is affecting the poor young boy's life. And it's a ticking time bomb. And unfortunately, this young lad still hasn't got his treatment. It's still after been raised in the doll. Something needs to be done very soon for this young lad, or he will not survive. Not to mention, too, this has done probably immeasurable damage. Even if he had the surgery, etc., still has done immeasurable damage. It's scandalous, and this has happened to many young people up and down the length and breadth of the country, and probably so. Unfortunately, the same thing as I say, it's literally killing a lot of them. Probably, it's literally as we speak now, there's probably 2 or 3 dead today because of it, because the waiting list, because how long it's taken for them to be cared for. But they can bring in the world and pay for all that. They have no money to look after the young lads here, and it's as simple as that. It's a simple fact, and they can spend it on bike sheds and printers, etc., etc. But there's no money to care for these young lads and young girls too. But it's scandalous, and particularly this when the family for years they were told to wait. We will get the treatment, you get to be looked after, and that's what was said. This boy was told, and the family was told he'd be getting his surgery, he'd be looked after. We make sure he'd be looked after. We look after him, etc., etc. And them knowing fine well in the HSC that he wasn't even on the list. Them knowing fine well, and they took him off the list. It's scandalous. And again, this is what I'm saying. There should be criminal liability to these people in the HSC, etc., etc. There should be generally losing their jobs and brought up the steps. And the same with these politicians. They probably should be brought up the steps and dealt with in that regard and spend loads of time in prison for this. Because it's criminal, it's negligence at the highest level. It shouldn't be tolerated. Because this is abominations. It shouldn't be just said it's not good enough. We need to do better, etc. To the government TDs say, and the ministers and the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach stuff. We should do better. We should do more. We should help out. We should do this. We should do that. We should do that. But at the end of the day, what they should really do is go to prison for a few years and think about it there. And maybe then they will do some more for people. That's really what it is. Because again, this is scandalous. Because again, Simon Harris wouldn't have to wait if this was happening to him. He wouldn't have to wait. He'd be push everybody out of line to get it if it was something wrong with him like this. Don't worry, it's him being Taoiseach. He'd be looked after. Don't worry. But only Irish Joe has to suffer like this. But it's disgraceful. And you can know fine well if this was a Ukrainian, just to say it straight, if this was a Ukrainian, I tell you for a fact, heaven and hell to be moved to help them. But it's the same. Ukrainians will go back to Ukraine and get the operation. Imagine there's so many Ukrainians have came to Ireland and went back to Ukraine for operations, etc., etc. It's absolutely outrageous. Yeah, well, the cat literally ran up the stairs, so I can't show her now. But if she ever is around here, sometimes she comes in and stuff. But she didn't want to come in; she just banged in the door against the door. She doesn't really come in here, And she probably God only knows where she's gone now. I don't know. I don't know why. It doesn't even say. I don't think they ever were told why it was moved. I presume they probably thought he didn't need it or something like that. That's probably what in their own lunatic's head, like in the HSC's lunatic's head. That's what they probably thought. Because they didn't. It doesn't say why, but he was removed. He was removed. That was found out that he was removed. Because in fairness now to Marilyn McDonald, she did find that out that he actually was removed for whatever reason. Whatever reason, I don't know. Nobody seems to know. But again, that could be his death sentence, unfortunately. That's the sad thing. Because again, the fact he had to wait for a few years to get this. Like it wasn't just he get it the day afterwards. Yeah, like this is what I'm saying. Like there's so many Ukrainians have left to go back to Ukraine for treatment. It's insane. Yeah, it's extremely painful. It's extremely painful. Yeah, and it's the fact it's not. This is just not one-off incident. It's not one-off incident. It's happening all up and down the country. There's probably about, I don't know. There's thousands of children like this that just can't get treatment for it. It's insane. And then we're sitting here, and politicians are sitting in the door, all in big money, just to say, on hundreds of thousands a year, and they sit there and they don't give a shit. Simon Harris, basically, when Marilyn McDonald was asking about it, he didn't seem to give a shit. It's simple as that, to put it straight. Didn't care less. That's why I'm saying he should genuinely go to prison. Same with Stephen Donnelly. He totally honest, they should be going to prison for other stuff, with certain vaccines, etc. So they should be going to prison for that. But not only that, they should be going to prison for negligence, because this is negligence. Particularly Stephen Donnelly's Minister of Health. He should be locked up maybe for 10 years for negligence. That's the simple thing. He should be. But again, this is the thing in India. They have there's billions of people. We're only a country of 5 million people. It's not huge. Like imagine India with billions of people having to try and cope with that, and then air pollution, etc., etc. You can understand why people will be sick over there. But it's insane. Yeah, it's physiopaths. But that's what should happen with Stephen Donnelly. He should be sent to prison for a few years. And the same with whoever took this child off the medical list. It should be sent to prison. Simple as that. Yeah, like it is expensive. Like the treatment is expensive. It takes a you need specialists, etc. It's not an easy operation to do. It's not easy. I get that. Don't think I'm saying you can just put him on the table and do it. He's fixed within 5 minutes. It takes time. It's a long, painful surgery. It's not a simple one. It's very, especially for a young child like that. It's not the best thing he should be going. He shouldn't have to go through it. It's cruel fate that loads of these children have to go through. But it can be cured. It can be done. It can be saved. It's the fact that it can be. It's not like a death. It is a death sentence if they keep laying it off and if they keep pushing it away. That's a death sentence. As you see, he's been waiting for the last 8 years for it, and it's got worse and worse. Now it's like it's crushing him inside now, and he has only a few months at most if he doesn't get it. And again, the government to blame for it. And he was never over them 8 years. He never was on the list in the first place. So he was on the list, and then he was taken off it. But it is expensive. It does cost a lot of money to get it. But it's not the fact that the Irish taxpayer, you and I, are paying for that, which I'm sure you and I wouldn't, because again, as a young lad, he has his whole life ahead of him. Nobody minds paying that much money to save a young lad's life. What I do mind is not paying these fuckers in Dáil Éireann fucking hundreds of thousands of fucking euro. And this young lad is left to die, basically. And that's just to put it straight to you, that he's left just to die. And we're paying fucking people sitting in the fucking Dáil hundreds of fucking thousands of fucking euro. And not even that, we're paying them fucking huge expenses. That shouldn't be, that money should be going towards that young lad to look after him, to make sure he survives, that he has a good life. It's as much as, he can achieve as much as he can in life. It's insufferable. to say that this is the society, and that you and I go out and pay our taxes, etc., etc., for the same reason why we do this, to look after people who are vulnerable in our society, to look after elderly people, to look after people with disabilities, people like this poor child that needs surgery. That's why we go out to pay our taxes. This is why taxes exist. We don't pay to go and fucking look after the fucking doll and the people, the landlords, etc. I don't pay my taxes for that. But again, this is what wears me up the most. That people pay a huge amount in taxes. I pay a lot in my job and stuff. If you add it up at the end of the year, it's a few thousand, and then obviously pension contributions and different things. Then everything I buy to is taxed. And all that money just goes into a black hole. It seems to go to the TDs and big fucking noises in society. It doesn't go to the only job that needs it. And that's what really annoys me in society. That's what gets my fucking head raised up when I see that kind of stuff happening. It goes to fucking bike shelters. That's what the money went to. It went to a fucking bike shelter. The money that could have helped this young lad. And it's just the truth. It's the straight up truth. If they went and give that money to the young lad, he would be all right by now. He'd be saved. That's just the government one. Yeah, like India's pretty bad. You can imagine that health system, it doesn't exist. But again, pollution and stuff like that. As I said, the majority of the world's pollution comes from Asia, etc. So not from cows farting, but from India. And obviously, there's no such thing as sanitation, etc. So they just fuck the rubbish out in the middle of the street and in the vats, etc., etc. Shouldn't be getting it. It would cost about $1 million or so, I think they said. And there's going to be another pay rise next year too. And Senate. So they shouldn't be getting it. It's €1,000. I know people say it's only 1,000, but it's the fact of the matter that the Finnish MEP, take this up when I was in Finland, they were only getting 70,000, 80,000. That's what they should be getting. That's good enough. 70,000, 80,000, good enough. They don't need any more than that. They're getting 120 something thousand here. That's just a basic salary, not even taxed. 120,000 here you go. Plus expenses, plus allowances, plus this, plus that, plus the other. Free job hour, free this, free that, free the other. They're multi-million, like all of them in the door. Nearly 90% of them out of the 163 of them that's there, they're all multi-billionaires. They are multi-billionaires. Like they all are billionaires. Like they're landlords. They have multiple properties. They have multiple, like they literally could buy the place if they wanted to. Half of them have hundreds of millions of euro. Like literally lying around. Like the majority of them are landlords. Like they're landlords, they could buy the shop. That's what I'm saying. So they shouldn't be getting it. The people who should be getting it, and as simple as that, the people who are on sick leave, etc. So people who are on the sick, elderly pensioners should be getting something, a bit of a rise, because there's not that much to it with the only state pension. It's only about 200 and something a week on the only state pension after you get 60 or whatever. They should be getting a bit of a rise, a €30 rise. That's what it should be going to the money. It shouldn't be going to the fucking TDs that are multi-millionaires, just to say. It's not like they're desperate for the money. None of them in there are going fucking and dropping dead in the middle of the street. I seen Bald and Backwood video. Yeah, I did. Not the nicest place to go out, but that's what uncivilized places are. And not even that. There's too many people in India too. There's just too many people probably to cope with anyway. I agree with that statement, Sean, too. But they shouldn't be getting it. Especially because you hear them, I talked about this before. Let me get this in the second. Get there for a second. But literally, they're cripping and crying. The TD saying they're working 70 hours a week and they're not getting paid enough. And I'm like, bitch, please shut up. Because they're just incompetent fuckers. And the fact of the matter, I wouldn't mind if everything was going good in the country and everybody was looked after, etc., and everybody had a house. If all that was okay and everything was going fine, fair enough then. But it's the fact of the matter, people are suffering. People are literally dying. There's elderly people who can't afford to put the fire on. It's simple as that. That's what's happening in our country. There's people literally living, not even put on the fire. There's literally children lying on the street of our country, in our capital city, outside the GPO, etc. And they've been abandoned, etc. Well, these fuckers in the doll get a pay rise. And they're already getting far too much fucking money. They should be only getting 70 to 80,000. They're not there to enrich themselves. This is the thing. I'm kind of getting ways up now about it. But this is the thing. You're there to serve the people. You're elected to serve the public, the Irish people. You're not there to enrich yourself. This job as a TD, as a councillor, you're not there to look after yourself. You're there to look after the people. And until we get that into their heads, into their thick little heads in Dáil and Shandown and the council chambers, there's no getting through to them, because they're there to serve the public. They're there to serve you and me. They're not there to enrich themselves. If they want to enrich themselves, they can go and start their own business in their own pocket. But they're not there. Politicians shouldn't be there to enrich themselves. They should get paid, of course, but they shouldn't be there to enrich themselves to be multi-billionaires. Because it's not fair how they get to be the biggest luxuries in society, multi-billionaires. And the only Irish job, I can tell you about 50 or 60 young people I know that are working hard and they're trying their best, they're working hard, and they can't afford to rent the house, they can't afford to buy a house, they can never afford to. And they're working hard. They're working, some of them are working 2 jobs, and they're working hard. And the government are fucking them. And why is that people are going up, getting up early in the morning, working hard, and then the politicians in Dáil Éireann could get big salaries and do fuck all day? Like you win your TD in the morning, take for example, you won't get even speaking to your TD because they'll be that afraid to come onto the phone in case you eat them out of it. It's just the society's just fucked. Like the West has fallen. Like that's right. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. The trains are not safe. I've seen hundreds of videos on India. I would never go near it. But it's the fact of the matter, Eamon Ryan doesn't seem to understand this, that India and China are the biggest polluters in the world. Like India and China are the biggest polluters. The majority of Asia is the biggest polluters in the world. And Eamon Ryan is too busy worrying about a few cows farting and a few people born on tough. Well, you literally look at India and people can't even breathe on the street. Like you've seen Borden back up. The one point he nearly couldn't breathe because it was that bad pollution. And you're saying to me that a few cows in Ireland are killing the whole world and killing the few people lighting a bit of turf are killing the whole world when you look at China and the cities literally pumping black smoke 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you're sitting there and telling me that Ireland is the problem. A small country with 5 million people when there's a country with literally billions of people. And we're the problem. We're the problem. It doesn't make any sense. Like Eamon Ryan needs to go over there, and that's where we should send Eamon Ryan. We send him to India. He can go and be the ambassador over in India. He can stay there. Like, yeah, as I say, if Ireland killed all the cows in the morning, take example, and if we knocked all the chimney in every house in the country and killed all, like literally burned all the cows to bits, at the most, this is the thing, we would make a 0.5% impact on the world. 0.5, imagine that. A literal drop in the ocean. If India and China done to make a 50% in, like, the whole world nearly be a lot better. It'd be 60, 70% just from them two countries. They decided, let's try and be green, But let's be fair, they're never going to do that. Why are they going to go green when literally we're committing economic suicide over here, basically? And that's what we're doing. Yeah. Where is this about TD's working hard? Or hardly working? Oh, trooping. The West has fallen. Where the fuck in the name of God is it? Excuse me. With my. Give me a second. I'm trying to find this thing. Oh yeah, here. Like they generally one TD literally in the media literally like this is a joke. I think I showed you this before. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's insignificant compared to like look at India, look at China. Like, if Ireland is a big polluter, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know really what to tell you. Like I don't know why too in Finland and the Extinction Rebellion. I don't know why they exist in Finland. To be totally honest, because Finland literally is the cleanest country in the world, like the cleanest air and stuff like. Because there's that many fucking trees. The whole place is covered in trees, and literally the least polluted country in the world. So I don't get why people are crying about the environment over Finland. I don't get it, but like look at this. Like look at this dribble from the Irish Independent a few months ago. Like look at this dribble. Only 110k for a 70-hour work week isn't effective. Imagine that they're literally sitting there and crying about it. Like the media literally are crying about it, saying they're not getting paid enough. They think they should get paid billions of euro. Like, what do you mean? Why is so many TDs quitting? Like the Irish Independent, the reason why they're quitting because the Irish and they're doing no good. Like this Paul Keogh fellow, I have a serious grudge with him. He's no good. He's no addition. He should never have been a TD. He's absolutely abysmal as Minister for the Feds when he was Minister for that. And not to mention his attitude towards members of the Feds force who served in the Feds forces is nothing more than appalling. Simple as that. He should never have been let near that area. He's no good. He's no addition. Simple as that. The same with the majority of them. They're no addition. They wouldn't work on batteries. If you put them out in the street and make them clean the street, they wouldn't get a job cleaning the street, let alone fucking anything else. So, and that's to say to a whole lot of them. They're just no good, no addition. They've done nothing all their lives. They're good for nothing. So that's just to put it straight here. Especially this tweeting down the bottom, Eamon Ryan, he's good for nothing. But that's what I'm saying. So they're literally crying. Like the Irish independents literally crying that they're not getting enough for a 70-hour work. Now, if you tell me, does these people here look like they work the 70-hour week? None of them here look like they've ever done a day's work in their life. Like none of them here are just literally falling down and dropping dead on the street. Because literally, there's people literally in this country that have 2 or 3 jobs and they're working that. And you don't see them crying and they're getting far less. And you and I are getting far less than that. It's 120,000. It's going to be 123,000 plus expenses. And they're crying that they're not getting enough. Like, please be serious. Be serious. Like, nobody takes. Like, you mean to tell me people literally say these people work a 70-hour week? They're doing their granny. Like, they're generally doing their granny. They barely work probably 10 minutes a day. Maybe back in the day they did, but not nowadays. Like, you try and ring one of these TDs in the morning. Try and ring Paul Keogh's office now in the morning, or Joseph Mannikin, Michael Wing, or any of them, Catherine Murphy. Try and ring their office tomorrow and try and see if you can get through to them, because you don't get through to TDs anymore. They put you onto the secretary. You don't get talking to them because they're not like they're answering the phone 24/7. They're not. They're hiding away, and that's what's happening. Iceland or India? What I don't get you. Like, there's nobody in Iceland. Just to say, there's only barely 300,000 people. There's more people in Cavan than in Iceland. Like, literally, they have laws in Iceland to make sure that you're not inbred and basically not part of the same family before you have a child, etc. Because that's how small Iceland is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have other businesses, the landlords, all of them nearly in the door. All of them in the door. Like, our landlords. Like, they are landlords. Like, majority of Fianna Gael and Fianna Fáil TDs are landlords. They own properties. They charge people extraordinary rates to live in their house, like to live in apartments, etc. So it's insane. Now, I just want to talk about this, actually, just remember this. So, what happened here in Portugal? Particularly, and again, the Irish media don't seem to be making what's the word? Because again, there's a young lassie from Cavan that is missing. She's missing for the last year, and she's missing in Portugal, not the same part of Portugal, I don't think. But long story short, there's no word from the Portuguese government or from the Portuguese police. And where was that called? We haven't found her yet. The Portuguese police are dragging their feet. They have their heads stuck in the sand. There's no word on what happened to her. Where is she? What's happened to her? She's a year gone. They've only started looking into her now, the Portuguese police. So what happened to her? And the fact of the matter, this has happened again to another Irish person in Portugal. He was arrested and found dead in the police cell. So what has happened? Somebody needs to summon the Irish government needs to summon the Portuguese ambassador and demand answers, not ask him, demand it to say what happened to these citizens in that country. Because at this stage, there's something happened to Irish citizens in Portugal, to be told answer. Because it's not one incident, it's a few incidents. This is the third incident I have heard of. So what has happened? Is it because the Portuguese authorities are up to some kind of devilment or something? We need to find out what has happened, particularly to the young lassie in Cavan. She's missing a year. There's not one word about it. So something needs to be found out. What has happened? So we need to know what has happened here in Portugal, particularly because it's not like it's in Spain. It's a different country. It's the same country, and not too far away from each other too. So I just want to briefly talk about that too. Because there's still no word about what happened to that young Cavan woman. No word. A year and a bit on. So I don't know what happened to her, but it's not good luck. She couldn't have just disappeared. And still the Portuguese government decided to fucking drag their heads. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, Stephen Donnelly himself had loads of properties that didn't have in the Dáil. Because when you remember the Dáil or the Shannon or any elected office, you need to put down how many properties and stuff. You need to put it on record how much. And Stephen Donnelly has, so many houses didn't. Like, they're all known for doing it. Yeah, but something needs to be done about them, that Irish citizen that's missing, that cavan citizen that is missing. And the same with this citizen too. We had to find out what happened to him in police custody. Uh, like, I think the Irish government here are just too afraid to bark at the Portuguese government and the ambassadors and stuff here. They're too afraid to say anything. They're too afraid to say boo to them. But yeah, we need to find out what happened to the woman, because there's no trace of her. To just say, I know I keep going on about it. It's something that we do need to find answers, one way or the other. Um, is there anything else you need to talk about? Dun, 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 dun. Oh, um, I was going to talk about the Pedro stuff in Israel and so, like, not in Israel, in Lebanon. Um, I was going to talk about it, but I suppose you probably know already. Just briefly mentioned, but it shouldn't be blowing up pages, I suppose, or sabotaging them before the distributor or anything like that. Anyone from Finland, from which, here, I mean, who knows? Is the Social Democrats could be. Yeah, like they were before they were distributed, put it on the shelves right of a shop. There was explosives put on, etc., etc. But uh, obviously, I don't really know. I suppose it's not up to me really to judge, I suppose, this case. But but again, although, like, obviously Hezbollah and stuff like that probably would have been using them, but there probably was a few innocents caught up in it too. But at the end of the day, I suppose that's where in the name of God am I looking for? Um, was there anything else? Sorry, I'm just trying to take a get on this. But yeah, and there's anybody here from out? I know about Gordon. Is anybody here from outside the state? Just when Gordon was asking, is there any Finnish spies here working for the Finnish government? I know the true Finns might be here. We don't want the true Finns here. um, um, hmm. Give me a moment, sir. Americans, right? There's the CIA. I always knew this, but the CIA are probably here. I know. The CIA always in Ireland, I know. CIA would be always here. What the fuck? The CIA always watching. Giddy. Oh yeah, American Dad. Oh yeah, American Dad used to be good enough fun. Um, Also, yeah, I know I have something to talk about now in a second. Um, Give me a second to look for the thing. Um, Now, I don't know if people remember. Yeah, like it's a whole clusterfuck in the Middle East. Um, but again, as I say, we emphasise my point and made Ireland's position and my position too is there should be try and be some kind of peace. I know it's a difficult situation to try and walk around and stuff like that, but we should try and promote peace and try and promote understanding and not to try and prolong suffering of people. And I think that's Ireland's that there should be try and keep the peace in some way. Now, so a few months ago, when I was in Finland too, I was offered tickets to go to this. Now, obviously, I'm not going. If I was going, I wouldn't have told you. So I'm not. But as you know, it's the 24th day. So this day next week, if I did go, if I was going, if I took the tickets, and I knew because I knew about it a long time beforehand. I knew about it even before I left to go to Finland. As you know, back at the beginning of the year, I was told about Denmark. I was going to go to the Democracy Summit in Denmark in Copenhagen. I didn't go to that. I could have went to it. But I wanted to go to Finland before I went to Copenhagen. I went that. So I could have went to this. So I was, as you know, it was sold out. Like because this woman turned up. Like nobody cares about these two people. But as soon as this woman turned up, everybody wanted to go. Like literally everybody's wanting to go to it. The Oslo Business Summit. Like so this time about the 30, so it was supposed to be 2 days summit basically. So I was going to go to it. I was offered in Finland that had tickets there for me if I wanted to go. I wouldn't have to pay for the flight, etc., etc. So I basically was given free tickets nearly to go if I wanted to go. I said to them I wouldn't want to go because it'd be a lot of hassle to go to Norway, the Oslo and stuff like that, and stuff like that. So I didn't go, and I've been totally honest, I wasn't ready. I wouldn't go to places 6 or 7 times a year. I wouldn't be on a plane all the time. I wish there was such a thing you could just plop yourself down in the country. Instead of having to go on a plane. You get what I'm saying. I wouldn't like to try. Not that great at traveling long distances, hundreds and hundreds of miles away. Even though Oslo is closer to Ireland than is Helsinki, but still, I'd rather be just plopped down. I wish there was such thing as a teleportation, where you could just be plopped down in Oslo, and you wouldn't have to travel on a plane, etc., etc. But yeah, long story short, yeah, I don't even know who these two people are. Does anybody know who they are? Does it say who it is? Yeah, so this is the thing. So it was some way because the fellow I knew from the Social Democrats had a ticket. He had a ticket for himself and stuff. He's going to it. Like it was somewhere up. He said it was this side or somewhere the other side. I don't know. But I see him anyway, probably doing it as well. Who are you anyway? Like who is this fellow? Oh, it says here. Former player and manager of Manchester United. What? Lego. Lego. Yeah. Anybody here from the world? It's Klaus Schwab's here. We could have seen Klaus Schwab's. Is that Davos I seen? No, it's not Davos. I don't even know who all these people are. Does anybody ever recognize anybody else? Like all these other people are relevant. I seen this woman before somewhere. I don't know what she is. Like who are these people? Like nobody ever seen them in my life. Like who are these? Like I never know. I never know relevant. Like all of them seem to be business. Like this thing. Coffee Republic. What? The Banana Republic. Yeah, well, that's understandable. Like the only one that's interesting. And that's the best person you could talk to is this woman here. Like everybody else is just they're not like all of them are middle-aged people. Like the only one that's actually somewhere decent is this woman here. As a bit biased in that, but let's be fair. Because I know none of these other people. Like these people seem to be big fucking noises, and like who are these people? Does anybody ever notice them in their life? Oh, the New York Times, yeah, but they're a bit, yeah, we don't want to go there, but yeah, so I could have been at this yoke and had to deal with these people that be talking about, like, look at this fellow, these big university thing, like listen to this, so, but yeah, so long story short, we could have been at this week and we would have had to deal with that. It would have been fun. So, but I didn't go mainly because too, as I said about Copenhagen, and like the plan was if I did go, it would the 2 day summit opposite. It would have been at least I would have to go for 4 or 5 days anyway. But it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary prices. But like as I said for Copenhagen for 3 days that time with the democracy summit, if I did go to it, like it would have been insane. Just for 3 days, we're looking at €5,000 Irish money. That's in Danish kroner. I don't know how much it's in, but Irish money with €5,000. And if I was going to Norway, I'd have to fork out, maybe another 5,000, 6,000 just for 4 days. Just to say, that's for hotel and the flight and all that. Like not great. And then not I wouldn't have to pay for the ticket. The ticket was 100, nearly €200. So I wouldn't have mind paying for the ticket. But obviously, it was offered a free one. I was like, it was literally here's a free one if you wanted it. Like I would have got to meet up basically. That's what I'm trying to say. The same with the because literally the person I knew from the Social Democrats was going to it, and he knows her too. So basically I was going with the Social Democrats if I was, because I'd basically be sitting where they were sitting. So that would have been fun. Basically, you're all with the Social Democrats. Who's this fellow? I don't know him. And then they look up my YouTube channel. They're like, oh no, he's a far right. He's one of them. He's the far right. Get him. It's one of these people. Because for a fine fact there'd be somebody from the World Economic Forum there, and there might be trouble. Because be like, this fellow's far right. Or fine, where there's some Irish NGO down and be like, this fellow's a far right adjutant. He's one of these far right cavan people. It would have been funny if it was. Just along with the rest of the Social Democratic Party. It would have been very funny. I probably should have just done it for that alone, just to just for the laugh. It would have been funny, but no, that was I did think about it. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did think about it. Particularly Copenhagen, I thought about it very long and hard about it. It was not so much the money, but it was the fact of the matter, if you added up, because again, I knew it was going to Finland at that time. So if I didn't say it, but I knew it was. And then you add up, then you added up going to Copenhagen a few months beforehand. Like, it would have been an extraordinary amount of money to pay to go to 2 places alone. It would have been extraordinary. Exploded. And, I don't know. I don't think Oslo's that dangerous. It's more Sweden. I wouldn't have went to Stockholm. Let's put it that way. But I don't know about that, but it would have been funny. It's some of the Irish NGOs were there and like, this is a far right advocate, even though they knew, even though I knew the people that was with me, the people I went and met in Finland, because they were part of the social, they're basically on the left, not really the left, but central left, I suppose, not fully left, like they're not extreme left, basically. But even though I disagree with them, we still got along well, basically. Even though I didn't agree with some things they didn't, they agree with, but we still got on well, and that's the good thing about it. Uh, that it wasn't like very hostile thing. We got on very well, even though we debated about stuff, and I had different opinions on different things. Particularly, we talked about NATO and stuff like that, and I had a different, like Irish neutrality, etc., etc. I wouldn't give an inch on it, basically. And same with many things. But again, we got on well. We didn't argue about it. It was good debates, basically. It wasn't like at each other's throats or anything like debates. Now, it was good. It was a good, honest discussion, etc., etc. And I suppose that's what they liked. I didn't shout at the face. I didn't, tell them what I thought of them, and it's very civilized. That's how I would describe it. So that's the good thing about it. And I suppose too, I made lifelong friends and knowing them too. Um, I know them well now. The three of them I was with. Yeah, but Lapland would be like that too. Like it would just constantly dark during the winter. But it would have been in Oslo, and I wouldn't have went to Timbuktu, etc. But I would have been just in Oslo. It wouldn't have been anywhere else because it's in the Oslo Business Conference. So I would have, I did look about it. Like I will tell you, I thought about going to the Oscarborg Fortress. Like there's a hotel on the Oscarborg Fortress. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but if you know, you know. But I wanted to go to that. I would like to go to that someday, but there's a hotel there. I was going to stay at that. Now it is pricey. But it would have been fun to stay at it. What? Does anybody like serious question here? Everybody, serious question for a second. Does anybody know any of the other faces there? Does anybody know? Like serious question. Does anybody know any of the faces? Does anybody like if I showed you the thing again? Would you know any face? Where was that? Bigly. 3, 2. It'd definitely be somebody from the World Economic Forum. I could have got in with the World Economic Forum. No, don't say that. But they could have given me a job in the World Economic Forum. It would have been great. But long story short, we'd be talking about this scene. But no, the funniest thing about it is, good evening, Tony. We're just talking about joining the World Economic Forum. No, we're not doing that. Don't worry. I'm only joking. We're going to hire mighty people. But the funniest thing about it is, I don't even know who this. Like, this is an Arsenal manager. I don't even know who he is or what he is. I don't know who this other fellow is. We all know who she is, of course. Everybody knows who she is. But nobody knows who these other people are. Like, does anybody know these people? Like these people here, these people. Like everybody knows this woman. Like everybody does. Like nobody else. No, nobody. If people don't know who she is, then there's something wrong with them. Like no, I don't even know who these people are. They all seem to be big noises in universities. Like I probably would fall asleep if they're talking. Like it's funny how the one thing I just noticed there. It's funny how on the main page, this goes to show you. Like it's funny how on the main page has a foot and set though. This is pretty based. Whoever made this is pretty based. Like having a foot and set though, because to be totally honest, everybody else is irrelevant. Everybody would go for that because that's why it's sold out. Because the year before that it wasn't sold out, so you probably should bring Santa back a bit more. Cope. For your time, but yeah, is he? But why is he there? Who cares? So yeah, you know who he is, but do you know any of the rest of the faces, like all the other women there? The two, But you know who that is. I wouldn't know who he is before my time, obviously. But you didn't know any of the other women. Apparently, the universities are. But you know who he is, in him. Does anybody else know any of the rest? I don't even know. I seen one of the faces before. I wouldn't have known about that Manchester United film. So does anybody else know them? Because they all seem very relevant. To be totally honest. Not really. No, like one of them I know. I wouldn't know them. I knew there was one woman at the end, something to do with a journalist from the United States or something. Who was that? Was that even on? I don't even remember the name. See, the that who elephant. I not listen. Like not taking any notice. I'm just kind of here making enemies of myself, aren't I? But these people think I should have went to it because I probably should have went. The Victoria answer. Come to think because it would have been funny. Just because it would have been funny, that's the reason why. Because I would have because that was with the Social Democrats, so I would have got to meet her, and it would have been funny just for a YouTube video. It would have been just very funny for a YouTube video to do that because they literally know him. One of the posts I know literally is high up in the Social Democrats, and literally met her many times. They know she knows him by name and so like that. Yeah, so it would have been fucking very interesting. Just turning up and also, uh, very funny. Where am I now? Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I see who knows. So you know Ho too. Well, I don't know Ho, and you know what offer. Yeah, I don't even know who she is. Who is she? Oh, she's the one with the Coffee Republic thing. I went. So you want to go to see Ho? Jeez, we could have told you could have gone on the plane to Oslo. But then it would have been just funny. No, but it's particularly because I want to go to Oslo Fortress. If you look it up in Oslo, I would like to just go and see that. It's where the Brooklyn, like the Cavan accents, it's terrible. The Brooklyn was suck. Brook, you know what I'm saying? The German battleship, the German heavy cruiser, was going through the Oscar folk. Blah, 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 blah. Koik Ericsson, blew it up with a 18th century gun, basically. I'm sure everyone only knows what I'm talking about, but doing it for the Westies. The Westies. I don't even know if she's Swedish, is she? She doesn't look Swedish. We have a fanboy in the chat. We have a fanboy for this woman. But to be really honest, I can't really speak much. So I can't really say much with that. I don't think I can stand on my high castle on that one. Excuse me. The West has fallen. But we soon call it quits this time. Just tricking about. Uh, um, so yeah, anything else that? But funny enough, we would have been there next week. Imagine that would have been funny. Yeah, so it was next this Wednesday coming the next Thursday. Yeah. So that would have been funny. Yeah, the book I can't say it, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, you get what I'm saying. But yeah, we could have went there or to that fortress. There's a hotel there in that fortress. I was going to stay in that, even though it cost a pretty penny. We were going to stay in that because it was just interesting, just to look around the island and stuff. But it would have been interesting YouTube video and stuff like that, just to look around, etc., etc. Not to mention just the Oslo Business Conferences. It would have been interesting. Um, and then obviously the few other things in Oslo too. We could have went and looked at the price of a pint, even though I would have been drinking it. But it's 25 euro something like that in Oslo for a pint, for a Guinness, like a pint of Guinness, just an only pint. It's 25 euro Irish money, Norwegian kronas. I don't know how much it is, but it's 25 euro our money. So you wouldn't want to be going drinking in Oslo anyway, because there'd be no money left. You climbed the mountain, Jesus, that's good. I don't even know where that is. It ends, but you climbed someplace. Chippewa. I never heard of him. I totally answered it. I heard the quote Patrick. I heard of the big mountain in Kerry, Cavan, isn't it? Never heard of it. Must be only a small place or whatever. I think a small hill. Actually, I have the internet. What am I doing? Let me look up. Excuse me. Sorry. Apologies. Let me see. I've probably maybe seen it before. Some Norwegians test for Irish DNA. Not really. I never really see much Norwegians on YouTube. Not really, to be told answer, but I never really see it. What do you mean? And this is actually news to me. Let me see. Where was this? I can't say I ever did. No, I can't say I ever did. I can't say I did. But good on you anyway, good face. Small. Yeah, that's just going to show how much I know. Yeah, it seems to be high. Yeah, well, fair play to you for doing that. It's good to be exercising and stuff. Good to be out in the fresh air, especially on the good day yesterday. Wouldn't do it today. It wasn't that great of weather today. But especially the good day was good. Yeah, it's good for the fresh air. It's good for the bones and stuff. It's good for the health too. Small hill. See, the mountains are not that big in Ireland. Like I went over Norway on the plane when I was going to Finland, uh, and there are mountains. There are mountains. We went over mountains in Norway, like with snow on them and stuff like that. Because we went over kind of just above Oslo a bit, like in the Norwegian plains. Like there's mountains, big, huge, lunging out of the sky, mountains. Like there was one mountain particularly I remember seeing because it was like the good thing about it because in Scandinavia at that time, the midnight sun was about. So basically, like even though it was literally in the middle of the night when we were going across, it's still very bright. So you get what I'm saying. No, it's not so that that's for the colour of the skin or anything like that. It's the fact of the matter is too many people in the country. We brought in far too many people, and people who are living in the country can't. It's not that it's waste or we hate people around. No, we don't. It's the fact that we can't house the people who are here, and we're bringing in far too many people too. And that's just as simple as that. It's just that's just the beginning, really, and end of it. There's no such thing as we hate different persons. Like I have people who I know from outside the country, Polish people, and I'm friends with them, etc., etc. No issue with them. I mean, oh yeah, probably yeah. I've heard stuff like that, but I wouldn't. Yeah, the government would have a problem with mainly. Yeah, Yeah, well, I understand Scottish and stuff. It wouldn't maybe Irish. It would, but yeah, I suppose it makes sense what you were saying. Yeah, I wasn't taking actually that. Well, not so much in Finland. I never really see many redheads in Finland. Maybe in Oslo and stuff. You probably would. Scotland or nobody. You're not using the official titles too. Like I had one time somebody in one of my comments. I was referring to Donald Trump trying to buy in Greenland at the time. Yeah, because there wasn't. Just thinking back, there's not that many redheads in Finland. All kind of black haired and stuff. Not really redheads. Well, I suppose it's more of an Irish, like that direction, our direction. Not so much in Finland. To come to think of it, like there's, I don't know how to describe it. It's more easy to show than describe it, but But people are more paler than me. Like I'm pale. I don't have much of a tan and stuff like that. People in Finland are more paler than you and me, basically, because there's no sun. Um, yeah, but what was I saying? Yeah, but there was a video back in the day I made about Donald Trump wanting to buy Greenland. I don't know if people remember that. There it is. Donald Trump said to the Danish government he wanted to buy Greenland, and obviously the Greenlands belong to the Danish government. And the proper title, just to say, of Denmark and Sweden and Norway is the Kingdom of Norway, the Kingdom of Sweden, the Kingdom of Denmark, the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the Kingdom of Belgium. All kingdoms, Kingdom of Spain too. Not so much you call it Spain, but the official title is the Kingdom of States. Then the Republic of Ireland is called the Republic of Ireland. The United Kingdom is called the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Same with the Republic of Finland. The Republic of Finland is called too. Uh, So people, what I'm trying to say, one time one person nearly ate the head of me foot, and for not using the official titles to the Kingdom of Denmark. Denmark. So if you want to be technical, we'll be technical. I suppose this is the nitpick, as long as you know what country that was, you know. Because if we went around in ordinary life, just thinking about what the man said that time in the comments, imagine us saying, "Oh, I'm going to the Kingdom of Denmark, I'm going to this, and going to that." Um, it'd be insane. We'll go mad. Say an extra few words, we'll go mad saying it. But no, what was I saying about Norway before too? Yeah, when we went over Norway, and it was definitely Norway because Sweden isn't that, um, that mountainous. And the same in Finland. Finland's not that mountainous. It's more, uh, it's not mountainous. In Finland, it's more trees and stuff like that. Norway is big, huge mountains. Like I've seen out of the plane when I was looking out the window. Like there's a few mountains that literally going above the sky. They're going above the clouds. The clouds are underneath. And the mountains peeking up, the top of the mountains above the clouds, like huge mountains, huge big mountains with snow on the top of them. Like that definitely was no. Like, see, the worst thing about the Finnair, I thought Finnair would have, the way they would have on say Aer Lingus planes, etc., etc., they would have screens or computers. Well, not computers, but television screens, etc., etc. They didn't have that in Finnair, so I couldn't really tell half the time where it was. So, but that definitely was Norway. That definitely 100% was Norway. Uh, you know, because Denmark, I think we went over Copenhagen on the way back, because there was loads of like scattered islands, etc., on a big huge city. So I presume that was Copenhagen, because it was a big huge city on like kind of an island, you Um, it was more cleaner. It was more clear going there at night, would you believe, than during the day when we were coming home. But that was definitely Copenhagen that I seen that time I was there. Yeah, Irish people are very nice people. Like even people in Finland, well, all big smiles when we said from Ireland, etc., and stuff like that. They're all very happy to hear Irish people, etc., etc. Especially women in the parliament. I told you about this before. She had a friend in Clonmel and Tipperary. She was telling me all about it. Big, huge discussion about it, about Clonmel and Tipperary and stuff like that. Big, huge discussion about the woman in the Finnish parliament about it. So, and even she said it to the Irish people, very genuine and very nice people. So they were all very happy. Everyone was very happy with the Irish people because I think they were just kind of sick of the Americans, to be totally honest. Because a lot of Americans go over there and just talk nonsense. Even though, again, I'm still kind of cringing a bit over one thing that happened in Finland. Listen for a second. There's one thing I literally cringed at. I went to an Irish pub, right? Well, it's a fake kind of Irish pub. It's like one of them just fake Irish pubs, but it still has an Irish name on it. It was called Katie's Bar or something like that. It's just beside the Stockholm in Helsinki, in central Helsinki, on the Mannerheim, like the main avenue in Helsinki. So basically, we went into the pub, right, and my mother looked for a Guinness, and they had no Guinness, right. Listen to this, but the man behind the bar, he was Finnish, he wasn't Irish, but he asked what part of Ireland are we from, or whereabouts in the world are we from. We didn't know exactly we were Irish, but we could name it again. But long story short, this is the thing, and my mother was like, "We're from Cavan, in Cavan," and the way she described it, she said it was near the border, because it was hard to describe people from other countries. Oh, Cavan's, here or there. So he said near the Northern Ireland border. And he said, is Northern Ireland a different part of Ireland? And, it was just kind of, basically I was probably in pure shock. Because I was like, you walk in an Irish pub, you probably should know something about the country that you're at, the bar that you're walking in and stuff like that. So he didn't know there was two separate jurisdictions. Like I was blown away by that because it's the fact of the matter. It wasn't mine. There was somebody living on walking on the street, but it was literally somebody that's in an Irish pub. Not an Irish pub, a so-called Irish pub, because it wasn't an Irish pub. Like the Moddy Malone that I was just beside when I was Helsinki, the person that served me and stuff was from I think it was from somewhere down the country. I don't know why it wasn't Logford exactly, but it was somebody there actually from Logford. There was one person there from Logford. There was a big slander who paid for me to go over because Cavan people, who paid for you, who paid for you. Like that was the main thing that was asked up there, like from Irish people, who paid for this fellow to come from Cavan? Who paid for you? And then especially when the whole I was from the Social Democrats people with me, like once it was very funny. Because they knew then I was with Social Democrats. I was hanging out with Social Democrat people from the Social Democratic Party. I don't know what they must have thought, but when you put two and two together, it doesn't look good. But it's quite funny. I had a great laugh at it. But yeah, bit of that. So usually everywhere Irish Cavan people go and get abuse. So that's what we're going to bring in the Cavan hate speech bill. Helen McAtee's drafting up as we speak. So if you dare criticise Cavan people, we're going to lock you up for 500 years. And if you dare criticise Leitrim as an independent place, we're going to lock you up for 50 billion years. Because Leitrim does not exist. It's part of West Cavan. Luckily, there was nobody from Leitrim in Finland. There would have been war. In the game, of course. In the game. In House of Iron 4. In the game. Yeah. Leitrim doesn't exist. I don't know what's wrong. Yeah, there's a lot of English people. I have the same all the time, especially when you're. Oh, this clock over here, yeah, it's fucking loud. You lost the game. Oh no. Yeah, it's quite pretty loud. But yeah, there's a lot of particularly in Ireland. There's just fuck ton of Americans. As I said about the plane, literally ton of people literally coming off from Chicago. All Americans on tourists here. It's insane. Yeah, don't yeah. I know what you're talking about. There's so many French people, particularly not so much tourists, but coming fishing. There's a lot of them come fishing, particularly they come here and just take all the fish out of the river. Like it's insane. They do actually do that. Like during the summertime, they literally come in their flocks and just fish every fish out of the river in the country. That's what happens up in Cavan. Like it's quite insane. There was one time somebody asked me on the road, and he's like, "Do you speak French? Do you speak French?" Like in broken English. Do you speak French? And I was like, "What the fuck?" He asked me, "Do I speak French?" You know, in Ireland, you know. Um, but I didn't say that to him. But I know it's how it was very hard. We only knew a few words in English, but yeah, West Cavan. Yeah, but this is West Cavan. This is West Cavan. Yeah, this is the area of West Cavan. This is the what do you call? Where is the fucking thing? Excuse me. Where? Get me the thing. Get me the thing. Where in the name of God is this? What in the name of God? Where in the name of God? No, that's holy. Where I'm trying to explain. Let me see. Give me a second. We something now. We well, like there's usually maps of it. Where in the name of God? No, that's holy. Um, trying to find this. Where is the map that explains it? Sorry, just give me a second. I'm having a bit. Oh, I mean, God, where is the bloody map? Just give me a second. Trying to explain it. It's hard to explain. Like basically, oh, it's hard to explain. Like, like here, I try and explain it to you. Like it's hard to explain, but I try and explain. Dave, you might have just saved me, but I think I've got it now. It's hard to explain because it's old fucking. It's 9 billion years ago. Let me see. Let me show you. I don't know if this. Oh, my God. So I don't know if this makes any sense. So obviously this is the Kingdom of Breath back in the day, in the night like 900. So obviously this is a lot of modern day Calvin too, but obviously touched the sea too. It's obviously a rightful claim, etc., etc. But this is the thing what I was talking about. Here's where, like, West. So basically, the Kingdom of Breffni broke up at one stage, like, was split in two between East Breffni and West Breffni. So that's where it comes from. So this is the part of just to show you the Kingdom of West Breffni. It was kind of a split, kind of the two parts of Cavan split in the middle. That's the reason why we say West Cavan and other parts of Cavan, because technically where I am at the moment, it's West Cavan. Then you can see it was predecessed by the Kingdom of Ireland. Then, like, it has its own history too. This area, like this area of Cavan, basically. Like it's split in two, basically. That's one. You can see here. This is a good example. So this is my part of Cavan here. So you see the counties split in half. So this is West Cavan and what do you call it? West to East Breffni. Sorry, this is East Breffni and West Breffni. This is my part. So this is where we are here, just Cavan town. So about here. So just basically, Buttersbridge was on the border of the two counties, of the two places. So it's such a thing as two. So basically, broken half, basically the two counties at one stage. So that's where it comes from, West Cavan. So basically, it was ruled by the O'Reillys, and then it broke in half. So as I say, it's the Kingdom of West. So it broke into two basically two separate places. So that's why you often hear it saying, West Cavan or East Cavan, and then there was East Breffni. I'll just show you East Breffni too, just but I don't know if I'm making any sense, but there's a whole history behind it. So you can see it was different quests and all that of it. Like it's a whole history behind it. There's a whole lot of history behind it. I'm just briefly showing you. Like it's a lot of history, as you can see here. Like I know some of it, but I don't know it all now, to be totally honest. Like it's an insane amount of stuff. And probably stuff that we don't even know about it because there's that much, yeah. And then the formation of Cavan, etc., etc. Yeah. So there, that's pretty much, yeah. So some of our territory again. This is why Cavan's like this, because Leitrim took our west hand. So we need to do a special military operation to take back control. The vote is 99.9% in favour of taking Cavan taking back its rightful territory, allegedly. So that's what I will say about the West Cavan and East Cavan. I often hear me refer to that. So that's where it goes back, because the two areas of Cavan split. Like I don't even know, like 100, fucking 2,000 years ago or so. I don't know, not 2,000 years ago, but 1,000 years, over 1,000 years. Hello, Shawnee. We're just talking about conquest stuff at Leitrim, and also we're going to go. Aaron is going to fly us all over to the Oslo Business Conference, of course. I'm just making up one, but anyway. But yeah, no, I'm just laying down my claims. I'm just laying down the claims to Leitrim, because it's rightful Cavan territory. It shows in the history there, all the history there, it all backs it up. We have all the receipts. It's only on loan to people from Leitrim. And, we can take it away at any point. There always a lot of money too. So you have to do what you have to do. My county, excuse me, it doesn't even exist, so I don't know how it's your county. It's an illusion. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I think we'll leave it there, because YouTube might send the OIC in. But there's nothing in Leitrim. There's only 32,000 people in Leitrim. There's more sheep than there's people. Like generally, there's more sheep than there's people. See, the reason why is because the people in Leitrim are running the county bad. It doesn't exist, but they're doing terrible stuff in Leitrim. the Roon and the Couch. They're like the true Finns, the same level as the true Finns. So that's why if Cavan came in the morning, the population of Leitrim would increase 7 holds because everybody would want to come to Leitrim. See, that's the only reason why Leitrim can succeed. If Cavan takes over Leitrim, and we'll do great stuff over there. We'll build a big bypass. We build a big city. We call it I don't know, Sheepfell or something like that. We build a big city. We build a big skyscraper. We build the whole lot, everything. We will make Carrick and Shannon great again. That's what we do. We make Ballinamore great again. We make Mohill great again. If you renewing, great stuff. Basically, we could do great things. And then we look at Fermanagh, and then we can Yeah, they do fish. Yeah, it's French and German, mostly French. It's mostly French, but there's a lot of Germans too. Like particularly during the summertime, it's just not so much now in the winter time, but in the summertime, it's just fucking crowded. Like you ask anybody from Cavan around the lakes, particularly this part of Cavan where there's hundreds of lakes, it's full to the brink. In the summertime, it's full to the brink of Germans and French fishermen, and they take every fish. They take like the huge, like they don't like just catch one fish and bring it home, right, or cook it or whatever. They literally take all the fish and put it in big, huge, refrigerators. What do you call refrigerators? What would you call them? You know what I'm saying? But they take all the fish and bring them home with them, or whatever they do, sell them, or whatever they do. Like they take them all with them. Like they generally do. Taking cattle, excuse me. That's an awful thing to say. That could be considered Cavan hate speech, Phil. I know Helen McAtee is going to be looking into you too. So Helen McAtee's in the chat as we speak. She's writing your name down. She said to me she's going to pass the Cavan hate speech law, so nobody can criticise people from Cavan. And obviously, too, she said she's going to make a special exception if anybody criticises Sana. We're going to lock them up too. Yeah, we're going to deal with them. We're not somewhere you can keep a few. Mostly you can keep one. You're not supposed to take the whole lake with you. You can keep one or two. There's not much of an issue taking one or two. But the fact of the matter, they must take 100. Some of them take hundreds, and they come with big fucking fans, with 2 or 3, refrigerators, and they just keep fucking the fish in. Just keep taking the fish and fucking them in. They do. Like ask anybody from Cavan, and they will tell you. They do it. Like they do it. I've seen them doing it. And there's the fact of the matter, you can't really do anything really about it. Like Cavan lakes, majority are good enough. Yeah, good standard, clean lakes. There's a few maybe that are not that clean, but a lot of them are above European standards. Yeah. You're a new Putin? No, I'm not. Well, not so much because they're like fish. They're not really, you can't really classify them as a dog. They're eating the dogs. They eat the cats. In this case, they're eating the fish. Honestly, too. Jeez, imagine coming from Ireland to Australia. Like you'd be dead on the plane. Like I couldn't. My legs were fucking killing me when I was on the plane on the way home because I had to sit down for 3 hours. Usually, I'm moving around, so I nearly died basically on a 3-hour plane journey. So what would it be like if I went on the 24-hour plane journey? So yeah. Milan. Have a good license. I don't know actually the regulations in terms of fishing, but I assume they can fish in some of the lakes. Like in some lakes, you do need a license. Full stop. You can be stopped for doing it in some of the lakes. Like down in Lee here in Buttersbridge, you need a license to fish it. In this lake, but in other parts of Cavan, there's no such thing. Loch Hoots are there because there's no such thing as a license. In some lakes, you need a license, but again, there's nobody really stopping with you. There's the inland fisheries come around every once in a while, but yeah, but not so much in Cavan. In some, as I say, you need a fishing license here at the end Lee here, but not so much in other parts of Cavan. See, there's far too many lakes here in Cavan to try and cover inland fisheries. Yeah, there's just far too many lakes. There's a few inland fishery officers. There's 3 or 4 of them, I think, here in Cavan to do 365 in rivers. It's quite a lot. But again, a lot of them do have regulations. So some of them have, like the Annalee here has regulations. Other lakes do in Cavan. A lake has it too. You can't fish there because it's mainly just a swimming spot on a lake, so you're not really supposed to. The Greater Cavan area, yes, exactly. I actually said something like that the other day to one person at the council. I was like in the Greater Cavan area. And they didn't know what it meant by in the Greater Cavan area. Because I just kind of was like, yeah, they were asking me what's up. And I was like, oh, yeah, in the Greater Cavan area, we can do it. And they were like, what's the Greater Cavan area? Because what I'm saying about the Greater Cavan area, I was saying about Cavan Town. Because that's what I prefer is the Greater Cavan area. The main set of the town and stuff, the main area of Cavan is in the middle of the county. The Greater Cavan area, Cavan Town, or that area. That's what I was looking forward to about doing it. And they didn't get it. So, that's not the first time somebody's been, heard that saying for me, the Greater Cavan area. No, because actually they didn't. He was very confused by it, what I meant by it. But that's what I say about Cavan Town. I usually would say the Greater Cavan area. That's what I would say. Should you be down drinking the? You asked me a question. Are you telling me to? I don't know if you want to. I suppose it's up to you. But it's again, I'm not the dictator of Cavan, so I can't tell you what to do. I'm going to get myself a glass of water. We'll be going in a few minutes then, so give me 2 minutes. Literally nobody said a word since I left. We'll go at 10 o'clock. We meant to go at 9:30, so he's kept me here for another half an hour. Hope he's happy. Have a look, I said. I hate this fucking yoke. Like, you have to fucking, do that. But you need to do it for the, like, it's, because I can't tell you, even, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's good for the environment, dude, in the way. Even though it's annoying, it's good for the environment. No, see, the problem with me, particularly when I'm speaking for a long period of time, like, I haven't shut my mouth for 3 hours. This is what it's effective. It's quite hard, like anybody will tell you, it's quite hard to speak for 3 hours non-stop. Especially the fact I'm speaking that much, and especially because I'm getting very annoyed at some stages with some of the stuff I'm talking about. And at some stages I do get over, like, I do get very frustrated. Not with the chat or anything, but with the topics that I'm talking about, because we get that up in the head about it, I suppose. And I get very angry. So, and then obviously that takes a lot more out of your voice, etc., etc., and that, fucks you up a bit. Like, there was one night there I nearly lost my voice completely because it was got that annoyed over something and busted my lungs speaking. Especially you have to remember I didn't have a drink now in the last 2 hours. So basically I went for 2 hours, nearly 3 hours, over 3 hours without a drink. I had nothing here for the last 3 hours because I didn't plan to go for 3 hours. You can hear my voice now. It's kind of going a bit. Where was that? Sorry, I meant to show you something else. What do you call that woman? I know it sounds like such an awful thing to say. What do you call this woman? Bear, bear with me. No, that sounds like an awful thing to say. No, 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 I'm making it worse myself. Yeah, go on, Gordon. Yeah, go on. Sorry, sometimes I'm a bit delayed seeing the messages because I'm tricking about. Um, but you probably often seen her when Sanna was about. She was one of the coalition leaders. So yeah, this is a game kind of placed in Finland. They collect loads of games. Like they do sell them stuff too. But yeah, basically this, she's a member of the European Parliament now, obviously. She went to it too, which I thought was pretty cool. Like because she used to play video games when she was younger. You know, so that's pretty cool. Uh, you can see the fucking games, like old games, old Arcadian games and stuff. That, look at this. Like, look at this. This is literally from back in the 1950s. Like, look at this. Look, not in the 1950s. Not saying that she's that old. Don't get me for that. But like, do you remember these yokes? I actually had one of these when I was younger. Like, you have to insert the thing into the top of it. Like, it's old Arcadian games, kind of like what you would have in Arcadian things. Like these are old now. These 90s in the 90s when that. This is before even the PlayStations, etc. And finishes to say that. I don't know why I have it on. No, it's literally having a freak out. It was all right there for a second. Now it's having a freak out. But you get what I'm saying. Is that a priest? No, he isn't. He isn't a priest. He's the video, whatever the video, the shop fellow. The fellow who walks in the shop. Is he a priest? Yeah, I don't know. Probably five. I don't. Yeah. Yeah, like there were some games like used to plug in and stuff like that. The things. The Sky games too were good too. Um, yeah, but just thought that was cool. Yeah, like there's such a thing in Finland where you can go and play these games, and you can buy the games there too. Like old things. Like your woman might actually kill me if she only saying that. Because I don't think any Irish politician would be bothered to go and play games in an arcade, like an arcade kind of shop. Do you think any Irish politician would be bothered? Also, I love the way he keeps saying old. Like I was right in saying the 90s and so, because they were like before my time, obviously, but I remembered some such. Because the same woman, this is the woman we're talking about. She was born in 1989, so about the 90s maybe when she was playing them kind of console games. Again, apparently she was a bit of a gamer back in the day. Um, you know, so we wouldn't want to call her old anyway. No, I just seen the other day, and I kind of laughed at the bit because not something you see politicians do every, often. Wanting to go to places and play video games. Anyway, give me 2 minutes. I'll be back in a second. Sorry about right, I think we leave it there. Is there anything else before we go for tonight? We'll come back with it. Don't think so. I have nothing anyway. I think we've talked about everything I wanted to say. So on that note, I think we'll leave it there for tonight. Yeah, right, okay. We'll leave it there. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the night and goodbye.